get every little bit. You ain't never seen a trip like this. Heaven at your fingertips. Don't you let a minute slip. Just say you have oh, taste and hope you don't slip.
Be my girlfriend.
You've got a lot on your plate, Justin.
Should you be dating her right now?
Average day spent out in the streets. If I think when I tell you what you mean. Chemistry, intimate memories. Every time I give you all my energy. Never sense, never sleep.
Back by popular demand, we are here to talk about it. We watched it, y'all, and yeah, we weren't going to talk about this, but because the people talked about it and talked about it and talked about it, we said, why don't we come back? If you guys are new here, my name is Ashley, and this is My Sweet Perspective, where I give my take on all things TV and movie related. And you know, we're here to put you on, and I'm not here alone. We are back to talk the YA series on Netflix that premiered last week entitled Forever. And I'm ready to get into it, but I'm not here alone. So let's bring the people up. And let's start over here because we got a man on the panel tonight. Dom, welcome. How are you today? And are you ready to get into Forever?
Yes. This roller coaster. At some points it felt like forever when I was watching it, but no, this was interesting. So yeah, I'm ready for it.
Awesome. And last but not least, you know her, you love her. We're together 99.8% of the time. Tyra over there at Struggle Reviews TV. How are you today? And are you ready to talk about Forever?
Yes. Why all the YA series? We are here for the Gen Zs and we're going to talk about them, okay? I'm absolutely ready to talk about Forever. Did the show go on forever? Yeah, but that's not it.
Not the Gen Zs. And welcome to the 36 people who are already in the building. And we just got started. Thank y'all for being here. And you know, I don't belabor the point. We are going to dive right into this. Let's pull it on up. Again, this is the Forever live discussion. And you know where we start every single time. I want to know from you guys overall thoughts. Tyra, I'm going to start with you. What are your overall thoughts? And make it a little bit long-winded so I can turn this fan on because I'm hot, please.
Sure, I can do that. You know what? I really benefited from watching this a second time. I watched it in a group setting the first time, and I don't think any of us in the group were under the age of 30. So it felt a little displaced just based off of the preview and not even watching it. I was like, man, I'm not watching that. I'm not watching that. This is, for a certain audience, maybe, 13 to 18, but I don't think I'm, the projection for it. But watching it, I have a really fond appreciation for it because I can't think of too many love stories, Black-centered love stories for this generation. Whether, it's for me or not, I enjoyed it just off of that alone. I liked how modern it was. It's not supposed to be for me. It's not supposed to be for me. It's not supposed to be that relatable, but at the same time, it was. I like the subject matter that they were able to get in here while it was about the both of them and their love. I feel like we got to cover some other things that we should bring to light with Gen Z that don't really come to mind for maybe a millennial or, underneath that generation. So I liked it. I really did. I liked it and I enjoyed it more the second time, more so than the first when I kind of because the first watch was jarring. I was like, so we're not going to cut away from the smacks? We're not going to cut away. I got to watch these children. That was, a little bit for me, but second time it's like, what, why are we cutting away? Let's not still act like some boomers, as if this is not existing and these kids are not in high school, getting it on. But it's like, we're getting it on, but we're being adamant to talk about protection and things like that. It's other things here to appreciate beyond it just being a YA Gen Z series.
Absolutely. Dom, how about you? Overall thoughts after watching?
This was at first this was a chore. This was rough at first. It's been so long. It's been so long since I've watched something that was for this demographic that it was like Tyra said, it was jarring. Um, and then it was like the first almost like 3-4 episodes. We're like, all right, we still on this. Um, but I did like how authentic it was. I felt like it was very authentic, and I felt like the drama wasn't overly done for drama's sake. Like I felt like this was um as natural as a TV show could be. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's still kind of structured in a way where things happen in a sequence and coincidentally and stuff like that. But the stuff that they were dealing with and how they handled it and the representation of not just the Black community, but the representation of the different aspects and sector of the Black community, I felt like was really well done. And this was like, to me, this was a show that if the CW was on HBO, this that, this was filling for me, and so it's a good show, and I think that it's whoever the demographic is for. I'm glad that this type of content is out for them.
I agree with that. Y'all, so I guess after I had watched the first couple episodes of Euphoria, honey, I guess nothing scared me at all. But I did go into this knowing that it was going to be very much YA, very much for a certain demographic. But I did want to see what they were doing. And after watching, I was like, oh, there's stuff here. Like, there's definitely stuff here we can talk about from our age group and our perspective. The children are out there smashing and grabbing, but I did go and look at these actors' ages before it was all said and done, because what are we doing here? Because it was a lot of smecks all of the time. But Mara Brock-Akil doesn't miss too much for me, as far as in the way that she tells a story, and as far as in a way that she tells Black stories, because I too was like, oh, it's so great to see different socioeconomic status, different classes. We're seeing, two-parent nuclear, families versus basically a single mother and an absentee father, and it wasn't monolithic. And to me, it didn't give all of the stereotypes. I know some people had a complaint with it, but I thought it was a great, expansive look at the Black experience, especially set in LA, especially set with the new wealthy Blacks and the ones that are just getting by. I'm working multiple jobs to take care of these kids. I thought it was a great representation, and I think it's fodder for discussion. If nothing else, I think people could pull this out, watch this with their teens, and have important conversations. Whether it's about who you want to be in this world, how you want to show up, whether it's the birds and the bees discussions. I think it was honest and raw. Even though it got on my nerves and there was some redundancy for me, but we'll get into all of that, But I did want to start with my loves and hates, and I want to get this from you guys as well. So for me personally, let's start with the loves. We're going to start it on a positive note here, okay? I loved the portrayal of a good Black father. Over the past year, we have seen the trashiest of the trashiest of the trashiest parenting on screen, on film, and on TV. All right. So I was refreshed to see this emotionally intelligent Black man played by Wood Harris, Big Farm. Listen, who was the balance, who wasn't an angry Black man, but who was balanced and was the one calling his household in order. Like, it did something to me. I enjoyed that. I need more of that. Give us more of that. I thought that the narrative was balanced. I thought we got to see a portrayal of both sides, but I do have a note on that as well. I love the depiction of Black wealth and opulence without overt classism. Yeah. The Black bourgeoisie can come across, oh gosh, and you have to live it to know it, to experience it, and it's so easy for them to take it, and they're going to take it to the 100th power. And I think they did a great job of being balanced with this. Although there were some moments, it wasn't as it's not what I perceived. Like, oh, Kesha from across the tracks. It didn't give that, right? And I liked that. And then finally, I appreciated the overall messaging, the need for self discovery, the need for standing on your own 2 feet and charting your own way in the world. Dom, I'm starting with you. What did you really enjoy or love about the series?
I mean, right at the top of your list, you said it, and I don't think it can be said enough. The way Wood Harris is in this show, and not just him, because his portrayal is great, but how he fits within the family dynamic and how he relates to both kids and the mom and his wife, I think was such a good portrayal. And it was because a lot of times with black fathers or with fathers in general, a lot of times it's one or the other. Either they are the overly strict or the overly aggressive, or it's the other way around where they're so laissez-faire. They only want to do fun. They only want to be the laid back one. And he was a very good balance. He's obviously the more laid back of the parent, but he wasn't just like, but he still was stern. He still gave lessons. He was still present, and he was still an authority figure. And I appreciated that balance, and I appreciated how he was able to. And with the parents, I appreciated how they were able to be different people, and you could tell they had different personalities, but one never like disrespected the other. I was never in this position where like, why are they married? To me, that's a lot of couples is like they try and do opposites attracts to such an extreme that's like these people really don't get along, and or I don't know what you see in one another, and that wasn't the case with these people, and I very much appreciated it. I thought the overall narrative of the show was balanced. I do got a note on that too because I think it was at some points was a little too balanced. If that I know that doesn't sound like it makes sense, but it was well balanced. It was a well thought out and well executed portrayal of like a complete story. Nothing was one sided. I don't feel like one agenda or one point of view was pushed over the other. And I just like, and I know it's a positive. Well, I'll save it for the negative, but I say we're gonna stay on the positive. But I just and I like, and I know I see it in your negatives, but the amount of sex in the show I felt like was for lack yeah accurate. So like for lack of a better time, it was appropriate. I remember being 15, 16, 17, and you couldn't take two deep breaths without that or without me thinking about it. And I'm like, that's just the type of time we was on at that time. And so and how teenagers deal with that and how they don't make the right decisions even when they have the right intentions, and how they're dealing with a lot of these situations for the first time. I felt like all of that was very accurate and handled very well by the show, even when it wasn't handled well by the characters. That's accurate, and I felt like all of that was portrayed really well. So all of that was great.
Okay, Tyra, what about you? After the second watch, what did you love about the series?
Girl, you got everything here because first of all, I was going. I don't care what Wood Harris was doing. He was over there. He was over there, but just I don't know, it's just a different kind of father. You don't know you need something until you see it. And it's like we shouldn't be at this point into any amounts of TV and be like, oh, this is a different father. He's calm, he's relatable. You can tell like he may have been, in some trenches and he came up, but I still, I'm still me. I'm still, seemed like he, had been in some Harlem streets one day. It just it gave what it needed to give. I really love the camaraderie that he had with his wife when it was just like, well, I don't know. I think when he says, so y'all getting divorced, it was like, no, your mother's the best thing that ever happened to me, boy. If we get divorced, just know she left me. I would never leave that woman. I love that. I really love the male dynamics in this show, whether it was Wood Harris or the young man Michael Cooper Jr. portraying his son. I think we were in the Discord and several people were like, "Oh my god, he is so damn sensitive." I appreciated that. I appreciated that we got to see a black boy of a certain age be sensitive, be hurt, crying. Like he was He was going through the trenches behind Keisha.
Why?
How I didn't really because by the time I got to the 8th episode, girl, I was but this go round just really getting into the way Michael was able to tap into his emotion, and we didn't just get that with Keisha. It's something to expect because she's a girl, of course she's gonna emote these things. No, to see Michael go through things and him display it and him not fall into more so stereotypical narratives when it comes to a young black boy of that age demographic. I really, really appreciated that. We're gonna go to Martha's Vineyard, okay? Yet again, all the opulent folks are gonna go to Martha's Vineyard. I think I had checked out then too, but I was like, oh, they were like, yeah, I did, because I think Dom and I were making a joke not too long ago about like, why every time we get an on-screen depiction of wealth, all the blacks got to be in Martha's Vineyard. But I didn't realize they were making it a point to go, yes, we are in Martha's Vineyard, but let me show you the black side of Martha's Vineyard. It's a whole realm of black folks in this space that we don't really acknowledge on screen when we get here. I appreciated all of that. The overall narrative of the show, I thought it was great. Just the we are getting a season 2 because I didn't know where we were going. I thought with it being a show, because at first I thought it was a film. I was like, oh, we're gonna age through the times with them, because I thought it was gonna be a limited series type situation, and we would see them get a little older and see what they are, kind of like the Real Love Mary J. Blige situation. I was like, oh no, we're staying here. This is the whole narrative, so I didn't know quite how they were going to stretch that, and I see that's a con over there. We're gonna get to them, but yeah, everything you had to say here and more. I thought the balance was great, as far as, for the most part, Keisha and what's the baby name? I don't know. I know Kesha. I think they got kind of equal amounts of screen time where it mattered the most, and it wasn't just so, because these shows can go either way. Either it's completely female centered or it's male centered in the counterparts in the relationship. You don't really get into their life outside of the partner as much. I think that was really, really good here.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I realized that was really good, was not just the leads, but like the way the side characters, or sorry, the supporting characters were portrayed. Like everybody had a good best friend. And I feel like that's a lot when we get into teen shows or young depictions. They best friends be trash, especially the guys. Like they best friends be trash. I'm like, why is that your friend? But I feel like everybody's, like, both their best friends were different people.
Yeah.
But they were still like good friends. And so I appreciate we didn't have, like, especially when we're dealing with the sex tape, or we're dealing with, these young teenagers, we didn't have anything where it's like, now I got to lose my friend because he wasn't who I thought he was. I was just so tired of that in teen stuff. So I really like that we had like 4 or 5 young people, and they were depicted very well. So
I was just glad we didn't, even though we did go over to the other side of the track. So many times with our narratives and stories, it's, sling a crack rock, we could jump shot situation. I gotta dribble this ball to make it out the hood. Oh Lord, and then we gotta feed these babies. Everybody got cancer, everybody, it's just, I was, it's all on your shoulders, son. You're a man of the house. Though I love those stories, this was great to kind of get back to. As I said, watching this, as toxic as it is, I was like, oh, this is y'all loving basketball. Y'all need something as well, and I'm happy that they now have something too.
Yeah, and like what y'all said about the black wealthy people, we gonna go to Martha's Vineyard, but I'm glad that the wealthier side of the show wasn't jumping the broom. Black wealthy people.
Yeah.
My family used to own slaves. All right. Chill.
I think Ashley and I, we were waiting for the moment of, okay, when the mom, because we knew what type of timing Wood Harris was on as a father, but you just didn't know where the mother would go narratively, and if it was going to be, oh, Kesha from the other, like, oh, baby, you can do better than that. Like, I thought it was going to be really uppity at some point, mostly when she found out about that sex tape. But the way, I was like, oh, okay, it's nice that we subverted that. I didn't know we were going to go, because I thought she was going to cut his TV off.
Man. And I felt like they did a little bait and switch, because the first scene that the mom is, the first introduction to the mom, I'm like, who is this person? Chill, because she is wilding. Because the first time we see her, she's snapping at what I feel like, you snap it a little hard. What has he done to make you snap like that? But then as we get more introduced to the mom, I'm like, okay, I still think that scene was a little wild, but But I very much like the mom. I very much like how everybody was characterized. So yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's get over here with the. I don't want to say hates. It was just poetic in my little, slide. But the things that you didn't care for too much, and of course, here I have the threat of trauma annoyed me. The threat of black trauma really annoyed me because don't take me down through there. I don't want to go, and I was stressed out for this baby. I said he already delicate. He's already sensitive. He's already. Let's not do that. Then we spend over half the season dealing with this damn Smex tape girl. Kesha, Kesha. Um, it as far as me, as far as the story, it somewhat jacked up the pacing for me because and I get it, it's real, real life, and that would be something you may deal with over time, especially if you're hiding it. But it just really it was a lot for me. I thought it was too much Smex in general to be portrayed. I think we can allude to things. I think the fact that they are supposed to be teens, although these actors are very much adults, it was a lot. Like, oh, okay, y'all doing it like that in the Jeep, in the truck, in the back, in the floor, in the cabin in the woods, like what, child, in the rain, in the like. How do y'all have all this damn time to smex as teenagers? Don't you run track, Keisha? Aren't you in school? And speaking of that, I didn't feel like we really got to sit with Keisha's accomplishments and how accomplished she really was, dealing with not only the Smex tape, being put out of her initial private school, transitioning to a new school, maintaining her GPA, running track, still placing, becoming salutatorian at the end. I would have wanted to stick there a little bit more. I would have wanted to talk about that. We dealt a lot with Justin's education and his challenges with the ADHD. I would have liked, because it almost seems as though Kesha navigated within ease, and probably because she had to. She had the weight of the world on her shoulders. I can't disappoint my mama. They're depending on me. I want to do this. And I just wanted to sit there a little bit more. And then finally, the unending Mr. X. Girl, just get to the story. Somebody gonna die. That's what I wanted to know because it definitely gave. And I like that it subverted my expectations because so often I'm waiting for trauma in Black narratives. I'm like, okay, something bad has to happen. It's going too well. Oh, Lord, they slipped up and had said she's pregnant. Her future's ruined. She's not going to Howard. You have to go to community college. She can't run track anymore. Like, automatically, you know what happens. So,
Yes.
Tyra, talk to me about any dislikes or things you felt they could have done better.
Oh. Oh, we were on the same type of timing with those threats. I was in the chat going off. It was like, I was like, you're going to give this baby a complex. This fear mongering in the family, especially, and I think we got it on both ends. And I know we'll get into it when we get into Keisha's narrative, but it was the like what we stereotypically see. All we ever worried about, don't come in here with no babies, don't get pregnant. You're not having sex, are you? Like, there's always that. But the whole like police stop of it. Stop. I was like, ma'am, can we not? As soon as that baby looked like he was dying for the door, he going out there to die. I was like, oh my, are you going to get shot? Black man dying. I was like, I understand what you guys are trying to do. That is a very real threat, but we're not going to allow, fear to have us stop, living life and hinder us to the point of harboring. Like that baby, the first episode, like I'm scared to even, I can't even say I want to go to a party because she's a threat. You know what happens out there when you go out there? They killing black man every day. I was like, oh my goodness. And then we had that, and then there would just be things mentioning like, oh son, like, oh, like, well, it was what I think I not
You're
even
gonna
her.
die.
I think
They both said it. All the parents.
yeah, or like don't die. I was like, why are we putting that in the script? And then you have Keisha's mom like, oh baby, I got us a trip to Jamaica. She's like, oh, I could just die. I was like, what the hell? This is heavy-handed as hell. Like, it's built up to make you think that something is going to happen. And the fact that I knew anything wasn't going to happen once we got to a certain point, and that was just the narrative that they were pushing, I was like, that is very interesting. That's a choice. And when we had the actual stop for nothing, I was like, don't do that. When he's actually stopped by the police, and it's like, and I was like, yeah, that's not something I really want you to play around with in a series. I know that we need to acknowledge it as being a real thing, but don't play, loop-de-loop. Like, ha, you thought he was gonna die, didn't you? No, let's not do that. The sex tape situation. I think that was a hindrance for Keisha's narrative because we did spend so much time on it. And I think we were ready to get back into maybe her performance, her school, her athleticism. We had that one little montage with Grandpa, and then we didn't get anything else. And it was almost like since Michael Cooper's character was struggling, that he got the brunt of, the struggle in the school and trying to balance it all. And it's like, well, for Keisha to have all these prospects, be trying to get into Howard, be top of her class, top of the class in general, and also get, the scholarships and also get into Howard. She's a very agile, smart young woman, but we didn't really focus on that because we were so consumed with the Smex tape and the pointed ear boy of it all. We didn't need, as much of that, even though she was actively hiding it. It would have been nice to have more than, oh, you don't have to rush it. Oh, it was easy. I'm smart. There you go. I'm done in class. Like, that's no skin off my back. Like, she's very impressive. So we did need that. The second time around wasn't a problem for me. It wasn't a problem for me because I understand that narratively it was there to show the progression in their relationship. Because, first time, baby wasn't even in yet. Oh, okay. Well, oh, you done? Oh, well, yeah, it's all right. Everybody gets one. Everybody gets one. Better luck next time. That situation, progressively we're getting better, which is why, we have the scene in the car and all those things. Is it something I want to see? No, but I didn't think it was overkill. I think it was stylized. I didn't see the one with the barn situation until earlier today. I was like, this is because we were so far. What I did really love about this show that it didn't fly off into flights of fancy. When we get like a love don't cost a thing, or like those movies that we would get where it's just like ridiculous. And when we got to the barn and took a dip in the ocean, I was like, oh, this is opulent. All right, that was that. But I didn't mind it so much because it was showing the progression in their relationship, even on the sexual side. Let's see. Not enough. Okay, we got on Keisha. Un, unending misdirects. Yeah, it was a whole lot of that. I think that narratively, I don't know if they wanted to kind of indoctrinate us into that. Like, oh, is she gonna get pregnant? Is he gonna die? Like, aha, yeah. One or two times is cool. 10 times in the entire show, maybe 20. I lost count. It's overkill. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm enjoying the show. That's it.
Oh my goodness, Dom, I'm gonna get to you right next, but first I gotta get to this because, this is what we do. Welcome, there was a live dedicated just for you, and I said I was gonna cuss you out, and I don't use real cuss words, but Tyra made a whole live, constructed it just for you, Dane, and you didn't even have the decency to show up. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Oh, I'm surprised Tyra did this live when I'm awake.
That's what he said in the live. Said that, how dare you do this when I'm asleep? Like, oh, this time, all of a sudden you're asleep, Dane. Fine.
We love you, Dane, but she does love you, and she did that just for you. And I hate that you missed it. Dom, what could we have done better over here?
Okay, so listen. Well, one thing I didn't know, because this isn't really it's not a negative. The first thing is not necessarily a negative. It was a confusing thing because I looked up the reason and I still was confused. But this show takes place in 2018 and a little bit in 2019, and the creator, the showrunner there was like an article of her explaining why, and it didn't clear anything up for me. So I was like, just because. But even though that was confusing to me, the cool thing about it is like all the music and the soundtrack was from 2018 or older. And I thought that was cool because I was like, oh, and then I just happened to be looking up songs. I'm like, wait, that come out like 2018, 2017, 2016. So I thought that was a cool thing because some of them still hit. So I was like, okay.
Spent money over there on it.
No, yeah. This show had a budget. Yes, sir. But I'm gonna say this. Look, and I'm gonna pull the as the only man on the panel on the council. I'm gonna say that. Well, first let me say narratively, I understood that's the balance that we're talking about because I think we didn't really focus much on Kesha's scholastic achievements in her life because each of them struggled with a different thing. So his struggle was academic. Like his struggle was school. And her struggle was social. Just like the same way we didn't really focus on him socially at all. He had that one friend. He didn't really have any social issues. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have anything socially holding him back because that was her struggle in the show was social stuff. And so school wasn't really her issue. She breezed through that. So we didn't really spend much time on that because she got that. Just and so I understood that from a narrative standpoint of like we just focusing on whatever your struggle is for the season. But as a man and as a black man, um, that was my mom and that was my dad. Like every time I was going outside and the sun might look like it want to set, my mom was like, "Look, I don't need you to die. I need you to come home. I need you." This was my mom, and but also my dad was a Marine and then a police officer, and so he was very much like not like my mom wanted to take me out of it and shield me from it. And my dad was like, you need to be ready for it. I don't care that you're 12. You need to be, when you walk outside, they're going to treat you like you're 20. So you got to be prepared for it like you're 20. And so like my dad would tell me, never leave the, you know how sometimes you go in the grocery store or the corner store and you just buy one thing and they be like, oh, you want a bag? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna walk out. He was like, no, you don't do that because you black and you a man. So you don't walk out the store without a receipt and that thing in the bag because ain't nobody finna, because all they gotta say is they just gotta say you stole and now you in some mess. And so these were the lessons that were just like daily life. And so the way that his parents were was I was like, man, this is not. It wasn't over the top to me because it was bringing up memories, and so I'm like, I had parents like that, and then you know I'm not a girl, so I don't know how often parents tell their girls not to get pregnant, but I'm like they needed a balance. They needed something for her that was like that. So that's the only, you know what I'm saying? That's the one thing. Don't get pregnant. Don't get STD. And so I did that part wasn't that bad for me. The issue I did have though was it was so balanced that I felt like it got boring. Those first 4 episodes were too balanced to me because I was like, okay, the first 2 episodes we upset at him and we blocking him, and then the next 2 episodes we upset at her and we blocking her, and I'm like, oh my god. I was just like, and I'm like, maybe this is my age or whatever. I'm like, we if we block one more time, if we block a person one more time, I'm gonna block this show. And it was the blocking. We did carry it all the way through the show. I'm gonna block you because I love you. I'm like, this mug is this. It was just a lot for me of the back and forth. But I was like, maybe that's how the kids do it. We couldn't block. I couldn't block people with a flip phone. So I just
you couldn't block them on the house phone either. Really?
Yeah, I couldn't block them on the house phone. I just
No.
And so that was bothering me. Spending half of the season dealing with sex. Hey, we was getting down. We was getting down. I don't know. I'm not saying every kid was doing that, but I'm just saying we was getting down. And honestly, I felt like I'm trying to think of a negative of the show other than the overly balanced stuff. I think the show was almost as perfect as you can get of an 8-episode narrative. The worst part about the show is getting to season 2. That's to me that's the only part about this that I hate is that. And then the whole Martha Stewart arc, I felt like was, oh, we got a budget, we got money for this, because I felt like they shot it at Martha. You know what I'm saying? I felt like this is I don't know why we had to go here. I didn't like that we spent this time here. You rode your bike across the island. I don't, and then you didn't get to see. I didn't like that whole arc. I'm sorry, I didn't like it.
Since you're saying that, Dom, one of the things that I was in between with, I didn't like so much time of Kesha being reduced to, oh, a black girl. I was like, I did understand, the predominantly white school, and I just know we're here, and I want my son to have the best of the best in the education, and it just bring home a black girl, and she was just reduced to, oh, it's a black girl. Oh, she black. Oh gosh, she black. I was like, oh my god, pipe down.
Yeah, we needed 2 of those. If you was gonna put that in the character, you needed the first one that we got, and then we didn't need another one until the cousin was teasing the mom at Martha's Vineyard. everything else. I mean, everything else was. Yeah, I agree. Was
Yeah,
unnecessary.
that was a bit much. I was like, can we worry about other? It's oh she black. Oh she a black girl. You said
Black.
she wanted all this time. You said you wanted your son black. Your son brought home a black girl. Son, you got a black girl. If you got a black girl, you need to lead with that next time because she black. It's like okay.
And it happened so much. I was like, because he don't like none of these people in his school. So did he bring home a white girl at any point? Like,
He didn't
I
help
mean,
nobody.
well,
Oh,
yeah,
nobody.
and it was just like I liked the little exchange where where she was like Black Keisha, and he was like, "Ma,
Who else?
how many white Keishas do you
No,
know?"
white Keisha from down the street.
That was a funny, but yeah.
The mama was a lot. But easing on down the road, who's behind this? Mara Brock Akil. You know where you love her. The youngest TV showrunner in history. Well, as far as being a black woman showrunner at that. Doing Girlfriends at 30s, but has countless writing and producing credits. Of course, she created Girlfriends, Being Mary Jane, and Love Is with her husband. That was a co-created situation, but basically talks about how Judy Blume's book Forever changed her life in adolescence. She says that she was in a specific point growing up and wanted to know what to expect of high school, and that's kind of when she pinned this deal with Netflix. And I'm not sure how many series or movies or whatever she's going to get, but just know it looked extensive. It looked expensive. It looked exclusive, this deal that she inked with Netflix. So we'll be seeing much more from Mara Brock Akil. I love her. She's aging beautifully. I think she pioneered in this space. Of course, writing on the Jamie Foxx show. Like she started very, very young. I think she was 23 when she got her first writing gig. And to know that Judy Blume was actually an executive producer on this, Bloom explains that she wrote Forever after her 14-year-old daughter Randy asked for a story about two nice kids who have sex without either one of them having to die. So apparently this is the trope in YA, especially back in the 70s when Judy Blume was writing that. Well, just read Go Ask Alice. There's tragedy. Tragedy ensues. You're either going to be strung out on dope or you're going to die if you have sex as a teenager. And so she wanted to do something for her daughter that showed a young couple, young love that didn't result in demise and death. And again, Mara states, I've always credited Judy Blume as part of the seasoning of my voice as a writer, the creator behind pioneering TV shows Girlfriends, The Game, Being Mary Jane, and a Netflix press release. Bloom is on executive producer of Forever. She was one of the first writers I read who dared to be honest about the human condition in young people, and you can see traces of her writing style within my own. This is a full circle moment. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Judy Blume, but she did shape a lot of our childhoods and adolescence. Fudge, Super Fudge, Blubber, Dear God, It's Me, Margaret, Forever. The books are endless. I want to know from you guys, how do you feel about Mara Brock Akil overall as a creative in the space? And what's your favorite Judy Blume book? I want to know.
Oh, everybody was over there with "Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret." Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. I can remember reading that. I don't even know why. It was just like one of those. I don't know. You remember like back in like elementary, middle school, like that little pathway of like 6th to 8th grade. Certain books just came, whether they were older or newer books, and it was just like, oh, you have to read this book. So of course that's the book that I'm going to acknowledge. Mara's great. Like I knew the moment that the show started and when it came on, the direction, because I didn't do no homework. We were just watching it. I was like, this is somebody seasoned. This is somebody seasoned. This is someone who knows what they're doing, because you can tell. And once I saw who it was, I was like, oh, girl, it's you. It's you. I was really happy to see that she is still working. Of course, I think most of our first introductions as a whole would definitely be Girlfriends, and it's nice to have that full circle moment with this book for her, and just getting more into the Judy Blume book. I think it's interesting the route that they went with it to not only make it a Black narrative but kind of modernize it from there, because I didn't know with the with Dear God, It's Me, Margaret, or just the way that the books kind of go and how kind of childlike some of them are. I was like, what do you mean? Like this is one of her most risque books. Like what they doing over there? What are they doing over there? And then I went and looked it up. I was like, oh, what are they doing over there? Like, okay, well, how are we gonna take this and kind of place it here? And I think Mara did a really, really good job. And I'm glad that she reached back for something like this. I don't think you see this too often. Most of the time you'll see something that's really full on established, or you'll see like the most recent somebody writes a great bestseller 2 years ago and they're already trying to make a movie. I think it's interesting that she picked this.
To work off of, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's awesome. Judy Bloom is now 87, still, kicking. But it's so interesting that she's gotten a lot of these adaptations just in the last couple of years. I know Prime did a release on Dear God, It's Me, Margaret again, and now Netflix again, completely spinning the not narrative, but the characterization, because in the 70s these was white teens, honey. Dom, how about you? Have you read any Judy Bloom, and what are your thoughts on Mara Braca? Hey,
Hey,
freckle
let me
juice was a thing.
let me tell you.
Hmm.
When I started watching this show, and they said it was based off a Judy Bloom book, I was so far removed from this that I was like, Judy B. Jones? Like, this couldn't have been based on a Judy B. Jones book. Like, this is ridiculous. What Judy B. Jones book is this on? But and then I had to look it up. I was like, oh, I remember these books. I have never read a Judy Bloom book. I've
Oh,
never cracked a spine on the Judy. But I think in this era, because this is like what, it's fifth, sixth, seventh grade. I was reading Animorphs. I was deep in science fiction at this point, reading Artemis Fowl and Harry Potter and stuff like that. And then in school, we was reading other stuff, Esperanza Rising and The Lord of the Flies. So I never looked twice at a Judy B. Jones book. I mean, at a Judy Bloom book. Um, I hear great things. I hear great things, and it's great. I'm glad. And it's crazy. With this story, I was interested. I was curious about the book and the original story because I'm like, this story is so black.
yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like the sauce, the black sauce is sprinkled on it. But when you write the characterizations out on the page, these characters are relatively raceless in the
Mhm.
sense of like who these characters are and what they struggle with. I'm like, this is
Universal.
they are it's a universal identifier because even with I forget the character, the boy's character's name. But when his dad was talking to him about you the first Evans man to go to college,
Oh, Justin.
um, yeah, Justin, and I'm like, that's a great thing, and it's really prescient and relevant to me as a black man and stuff like that. But that's not, it's Poe Watts that got to deal with that too. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's like
It's
that's
what now?
Poe Watts that got to deal with that too. And I mean, just people of all there's segments of every community that can connect with stuff like that. And so I just felt like these were definitely black characters, and they were unapologetically black characters.
Yeah.
But the things they dealt with, for the most part, outside of heart beat down my chest when the police get behind me, could be applied to almost anybody. And so I appreciated the universal, because that's what and I'm not going to bring up Tyler Perry too much. I'm not, and I don't think everything black got to be compared to him, but I do think that a lot of times when black stuff, and not just him, just in general, when black stuff is put front and center, sometimes it's put in such a way, is depicted in such a way that's exclusionary. It's like, this is for us and it ain't for nobody else. It's for us. This is crispity, crunchity black. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing. There can be stuff that's just for us and y'all won't get it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all won't get it, and that's okay. But I do think that I think when stuff hits a higher level, or stuff transcends a niche genre, when it can be portrayed accurately and authentically, but still be be able to be connected to by a wider audience. And I think that's what this show is. I feel like young white and Hispanic and other type of kids can watch this and be like, yeah, we go through that at school too, or we go through that when we was young too. I felt like that this show does that, and I think I really appreciated that.
Awesome. And Mara, did you any thoughts on Mara
I
Rockefort?
didn't. I'm unfamiliar with this incredible black woman,
Oh,
and now she finna be when every Black History Month. I look for no, in real talk, because I have a daughter, and every Black History Month I look for not the three black people that we hear about all the time. I look for other black people to like introduce her with, and I'll hang up stuff and we'll talk about it. And so this black lady is amazing, and so when my daughter gets older and she talks about what she wants to do, and I think it's cool to see people in different positions do stuff and do stuff at a high level. And she, not looking at her resume and what she's done, she does stuff at a high level.
Mhm.
And seeing black people do stuff excellently is always amazing. So now I'm finna make a poster of her. We going, yeah, Mara finna be in the house.
I feel like I
well,
need to roll back up on being Mary Jane. I haven't seen that in a long
I'm
time.
telling you, we need to watch Love Is. We need to watch that together as a choir because it's so problematic, and I think it mirrors. There's a lot of autobiographical qualities to that. Now, of course, let's talk about the controversy of it all because just like now, the kind of naysayers that have been having critiques about the series as a whole, it's been because of the heavy sexual whatever that's going on, and the book received the same backlash. This was banned. This is currently now on certain banned lists or up to be banned because of the introduction of sexuality. But Judy Blume isn't really a stranger to that, even with the Margaret, it's me again, kind of, because we're talking about like a lot of intersections, right? Faith, puberty, growing up, what it means to be a girl in this world. And then, of course, with this book, Forever, we were getting into premarital sex in the 70s when we're still have this very strong purity culture that's pervasive, right? And so, what do you guys think about what's being said? Because when I was going through Netflix and the trailer reactions, that's what a lot of people had to say in the comment sections. Like it was just a lot. Like the sex was a lot for them. And again, this is an older demographic, but again, the show really kind of having some of the same backlash as the book did all of those years ago. I'll start with you, Dom. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, get over it. I mean, in a sense of like, because you brought up in the beginning, you brought up Euphoria, and the people who had and Euphoria got backlash too for how graphic it is and stuff like that. And to me, I won't say it deserves it, but it's more understandable with stuff like Euphoria because Euphoria hyper stylizes it in a sense of like, and some of that stuff is for shock value, or it can come across as if it's for shock value. But the way this show is handled, if you can watch it without your own insecurities getting in the way, I feel like it's hard to put a case against it that this was like glorifying anything or that this was gratuitous. I mean, gratuitous is a personal thing. If you don't want to see it, you don't want to see it, and I mean and that's a personal thing. But at the same time, I just felt like this was such a earnest approach to this subject matter. And regardless of the execution or how you feel the execution was done, I feel like it's very difficult to make a case that the people handling this weren't at least attempting to do it with care. You know what I'm saying? And so I just feel like that. And if you're gonna come at this and if you're gonna come at this from a faith perspective, stop it. I'm just gonna say stop it because they make stuff for that. They make faith based or faith conscious material and go watch that. This is a secular program, and for all intents and purposes, these are relatively secular characters. There's not there's not a huge religious overtones with any of these characters, and so I don't at the risk of offending somebody, I feel like these are more regular people. You know what I'm saying? I feel like these are the majority. If we had to put them in a category, I feel like this is the majority more than not. And so I think that If this upsets you to that degree, I think that is a sign for some self reflection. That's what I'm
Okay, Tyra.
Same. Anybody who probably had an issue with this probably wasn't for you. I think with any older demographic, this was jarring because it's like, whoa, like I think we're so accustomed to the cutaway. And I think acknowledging the fact that they didn't cut away and it is in your face, like, no, we're acknowledging this, that the teens are effing, okay? They're having sex, let it go. And me, as a mom, my own 15-year-old, I'm like, Lord, no. I don't want to see it, but we have to see it. I, later started to appreciate how in your face it was. And I think the way that it was handled with care. I didn't feel like it was exploitative. Like, as y'all saying, like, we've seen Euphoria, child. We've seen that. So we know what happens over there. I think it was handled with courtesy, and I didn't feel like either one of these, because we know that both of these actors are of age, but they are actively portraying teenagers. So there is, a certain way that we did see Justin cheeks more than I was like, boy, put them
saying.
put them cheeks up, Justin.
Oh,
But
Please.
outside of that, I think it was fine. I think instead of maybe focusing on more so the smecks, can we focus on the acknowledgement of being, protective, like, the acknowledgement of Kesha. No, we will not be pulling out. I have dreams and ambitions. If we're not using protection, I don't want to do it. Acknowledge, Justin, before we even initiate the sex, before we remove the underwear, before we remove the shorts. Is this okay? Is it okay for me to touch you? Is it okay? Like the consent part of it, focusing on dad taking out time, put that condom on in the dark, son. I think we should be focusing on those things rather than, just the smecks part of it.
Absolutely. And easing on down the road, just to kind of give you an overview of what happens in the series before we kind of get into the themes that I wanted to talk about. Justin and Kesha, we met at a party, but we knew each other when we were children. We went to the same elementary, primary school, honey. So we're introduced to these characters at this party. He's wearing his flannel, yet she remembered him. She recognized him and said, he's fine. I want him, gotta have him, right? And so we meet Kesha, bright and talented track star from across the tracks, has a single mom who works 2 jobs, loves her child and never stops, coerced into dating a damn weirdo predator. And, I'm being heavy-handed with that because we all found out what the situation was, but that big-eared Will Smith reject pissed me off in this series, and we'll get to him. Carries a lot of guilt for the current situation her mom is in, laser focused on what she has to do, and finally battling the stigma and shame of the Smex tape with Christian. Tyra, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about Kesha as an overall character? Was she fleshed out properly? And what did you personally think of her and how she moved and navigated throughout the series?
I think she was fleshed out more. We had 8 episodes. I told you I thought this was a film. I was like, oh. We had more than enough time to, flesh everybody out. I think that with what the narrative was, she was fleshed out really, really properly. I just love the ambition. We did get, into more of the stereotypical things, black girl braids, other side of the tracks. Oh, she definitely sexed up narrative. Boy, get in there. You got to know what you're doing when you with a girl like Kesha because she been outside. Yeah, we got more over there. But once again, where's the lie? There does tend to be a scarlet letter placed on your back when you're exposed in such a massive way. So as far as anybody's concerned, oh, you're used, like you're, all of that stuff. So I thought that was great. Child, Keisha's mom, Keisha's mom was accurate. She was pretty accurate. There was, some resentment on Keisha's mom's part because how dare you give another problem when I'm, doing the best I can. I do like that even though we presented the problems and it was problematic in the way, like when we do get to the outing of the big thing, and we immediately, I got to get out of here. I got to go work. And you should have, it's just, automatic shutdown when it took 5 episodes for Kesha to even tell you, okay, can we please, ma'am? But, I like the way that we did circle around with the mom as far as, therapy and working through these things. And there is, some shame because I want to protect you from everything, even though I know that I can't. There is, something to be said that you felt like you couldn't trust or bring that to me. it was the parents here were aggy, but I think it's appropriate. Nobody's perfect, and the initial response to things isn't always the right one. The weirdo predator coerced into dating a damn weirdo
Just
predator.
with all this pressure from the family, like, oh, he's your meal ticket, girl. He's
Yeah,
gonna
it
provide
was. That's
this.
when we get more into kind of us not acknowledging who Keisha was, because Keisha was that girl clearly for her to even be in that position. But the way it was painted, it was like, oh, he's going places. Like, if you want to be attached to anybody, it's Big Willie style. Go over there with that elf on the shelf. I was like, can we still, acknowledge Keisha and her attributes? We don't have to attach her so heavily. Yeah, those were most of my issues when it came to the mom in the first place, where it was like, you gotta make yourself stand out, Keisha. Don't follow the pack. You gotta make him like, oh, like it's like he's not the prize. Keisha is, we're not gonna do that. Let's not, feed that into her. Um, that situation there with that carrying that guilt, I was really trying to rock with Keisha in her guilt. The show stretched it. And I didn't want to get, uncaring for Keisha because of the writing of the show, but the way that we focused on it and the way that her trying to keep that sex tape a secret was harboring the involvement of the story. I was like, girl, if you don't hurry up, if you don't hurry up, and then of course it's affecting her decision making, and then we're getting into the tit for tat because we're telling Justin one thing and then we take it back immediately because I need to go to prom with this weirdo predator.
Ugh.
I can't believe you put that there.
Yeah.
Those things, that was that. Yeah, I did appreciate, her laser focus and her always having, even though the boys and the smecks and this and I'm in love and Justin's the second coming, I'm still goal oriented. I still have to focus on what I need to do because we've sacrificed so much to get here. And in the words of Ricky and Boys in the Hood, I want to be somebody. I got places to go and people to see. Now the stigma and the shame, child, it's par for the course. I appreciated that where people are, more digging into the controversy. I did appreciate the Smex tape in the acknowledgement that this is a thing. This is
Absolutely.
something, people of a certain age. We didn't have to deal with this. You did what you did, and unless it was word of mouth, nobody knew about it. And then even then you can lie because where the proof at? So it's just something to be conscious of as a parent and even as a YA watching this. You may want to be cautious and be careful what you're doing, who you're doing it with, and who's allowed to see it, because once it's out, and just putting that out there, because being a mom of a teen, this is definitely a thing. So I appreciated it being a part of the show.
Absolutely. And shout out to this actress, Lovey Simone, who plays Keisha. If you was over there in them Greenleaf streets, you know Lovey. And she does a great job. Dom, talk to me about what you thought of Keisha as a character and how she navigated it within this series. And you can add any points if these weren't any things that stood out to you for her.
The only point I'm gonna add is, as somebody who ran track, the form wasn't. I'm just playing. Let me not you.
Possibly hit her with that baton running that way.
No, I appreciate it. I like Keisha's characterization through and through. I liked how she handled situations, and I felt and that's type of a consistent thing throughout every character in the show. Is like there wasn't a point where I did not understand whatever decision they were making, even if like me, the viewer, understands like you shouldn't have did that, or why would you do that. I knew why. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like from your position and who you are and the information you have at the time, I get why you did that. I don't think anybody. I felt like Keisha made a lot of emotional decisions. I felt like she made a lot of some impulsive decisions. I don't feel like Keisha made any dumb decisions. You know what I'm saying? I felt like she was a teenager, and I felt like her being smart and them calling her Urkel, so that we're focusing on how smart she is. I don't feel like they ever undercut that. I didn't feel like there was ever a time where I'm like, this is the smart person in y'all family, but I appreciate all of that, and I like that she was well rounded. She was smart. She was athletic. She was funny. She went out. She was just a good person. But yeah, and I felt like the pressure of of that, the pressure of success, the pressure of being great, the pressure of being smart, and your whole family kind of leaning on that, and her response to that, I felt like was very accurate and very real. And the toll that takes on your mental health and your emotional stability. I thought that was I honestly felt like the sex tape kind of overshadowed a little bit of that, because I felt like I mean, I know we only had 8 episodes, but I felt like they could have delved a little bit.
We only had 8 episodes.
Only eight.
Well, no, and I reject that. I reject, because we've gotten into this era where it's like 8 to 12 is the standard. I still remember the golden days of 22 episodes, and so and I'm tired of waiting 2 years for 8 episodes. I was like, yeah, but I felt like we could have focused a little bit more on Keisha's emotional stability in general, of like her position in the family, and not just the sex, the tape being like the dark cloud over it, because it's really all of this. All of this is weighing on her, from her dad and her mom, and even the grandfather. She's holding so much, and I felt like we could have done a little bit more with that. But other than that, this was a great. This is kind of, this show does a lot. What I tell people about a well-rounded character or a three-dimensional character versus a very flat one-dimensional character. These are characters I'm gonna start referencing, because they were Keisha's well-rounded.
Well, with Dom saying that, I will say one of the things I do think there was a missed opportunity with Keisha on that second watch, when we're getting into why she would, even because I think that was the most annoying thing, when she went back and she was entertaining Christian at all, because the way Christian wouldn't even boy, or even wanting to, hear him out. Though we even know, like, oh, it's probably for closure, but boy, get the hell out of my face. But and also for appearances, because I don't want my mom putting all this pressure on my back to be any of the wiser. All that pressure. She was like, my mom deserves to think that I was like, oh, poor thing. I really wanted them to acknowledge her self esteem, or lack thereof, as a dark skinned girl, or this narrative of, because we do have the mom, when she's go, oh, the flowers on the table and the proposal, you see how boys are checking for you. Remember when you thought you were ugly and you were this and nobody liked you and this, that, or even getting into the sexual situation. Because I think one of the more jarring things when we get to those first episodes is, on the first date, we trying to give, oral in the theater. And even when we're getting into Christian, and that was also the option there with him. And I don't know what their dynamics was. We didn't dig into that, but we do know that that was like her first real teen encounter with Justin. And when he says, well, why did you go for that first? She was like, well, I was just really trying to show you how much I liked you. I wanted them to kind of dive into why she made that choice, and why did she think that that was the main thing I could do to just show you, I like you, right? Like, I wanted them to dive more into her psyche there, and I think it was a missed opportunity.
Okay, let's head on over to, and we'll get more into the first date. And here we go, Justin. Baby, Justin is sheltered. He's aimless, pressured into purpose by his parents, undecided. He's kind of just undecided in life. And I actually appreciate the depiction of a Black boy who's sheltered. I kind of like it, because baby, he's out there. And shout out to the actor from This Is Us, Niles Fitch, who plays his best friend. Because baby, that's the only reason he's even at this party. And shout out to Chloe, because I was scared. I was like, oh, we're gonna have a problematic bestie, but she was so non-problematic. Like, I really enjoyed that for Keisha. And like Dom said, I think they had good friends. But yeah, I was like, oh, that's the only reason this baby's at this party in his plaid. Kind-hearted yet naive, and suffers from ADHD, which affects his ability to learn. He's a different learner, as his mom likes to state. Initially, I really enjoyed Justin's character. There was an innocence and like a purity to him, especially in his whole courtship of Keisha and this like unending desire. Like, I definitely got nods of like Say Anything with John Cusack, like the kind of duck man from Pretty in Pink, like this unrequited, like I'm going full throttle for this girl that I love, and I don't care if they think I'm a simp or whatever. And I enjoyed that. It's rare we get to see that. A lot of the black young men that we see portrayed in TV and shows and movies, there's a ton of hubris and cockiness, and I know I got her and I did, you know. But this was very, very genuine. It was very sweet, and I liked how eventually he evolves. I'll say that's probably the biggest hand clap I'd give to the showrunners, writers, directors, is that we got to see kind of true evolution of both Kesha and Justin throughout the series. And although Justin started to piss me off at the end, sir, because what we're not about to do is pressure me in this pool. Because are you trying to trap me, buddy? Like let's not do that, Justin. What about what I did for you, Kesha? Oh, Justin, don't be one of them. But I like the dimension of it all. And I was here for it. Tyra, I'm going to start with you. What did you think about Justin?
Like you said, there was a vulnerability. Like, I love the softness. You better cry, baby. You better cry, and it's okay, and ain't nobody gonna say nothing about it. It's different to see someone sheltered. I haven't seen a sheltered teen on screen in a long, unless they were being held hostage and it was a horror film. Where? Where were you sheltered? Like, that was different, that his parents were so conscious of trying to make sure that he's focused. And I'm sure with the ADHD, the sports, maybe since he wasn't so education wise driven there, just having to pull all these things together, we forgot to kind of loosen the reins and allow him to grow and have fun as a boy. Shout out to Wood Harris. Let the boy go, girl. Damn, let him go. Let him go, girl. Let him go. I also like that because typically you don't see, like, you have pretty much with due to your parents and how wealthy you are, everything is laid out at your feet, and he has no ambition at this moment because he has been so core focused due to his parents. And I was like, yo, he ain't that great of a player. Like, pipe down. It's not giving NBA, but more so mom. They have a picture in their mind of this is ABC as to what you're going to need and do to succeed, and we're going to be solar focused on that we haven't even gave him any room to do anything else. And it's like you literally have everything that you could ever want, and it's just very undecided, unenthused, kind of withdrawn. I thought that was interesting because you don't see that, and it's like, why? What could you possibly want for? Like, go. The world is at your feet. Like, why are you kind of in this state of? But you can also get into that relatability with Kesha, where you have parents kind of putting this pressure and their narratives on you unconsciously, and it's affecting you in a way, and you can't really perform either way. I thought that was good. I like the progression of him as a character and just kind of getting to see him mature more, and not the pool. More so, I'm sure when we get to the end and us knowing that a decision had to be made, I did not think he was going to be the one to make it. So that was surprising to me. But yeah, I think Justin's a different type of black boy, and one that we needed to see on screen because everybody is not monolithic. Like, there's variations, and I think he's a part of that.
Absolutely. And we'll dive more into something you said in the parenting portion of the live, because I really did feel like it's a great parallel, because in ways both sets of parents are living vicariously through their children. Of course,
Yeah.
Shelly is living through Kesha because you're going to get all the opportunities I never got. And as far as Justin, oh, you're going to be legacy at Northwestern for mom, and then dad, you're the first one, son. You have to do it because I didn't get to do it. Like, I found my wealth and everything in a different way, but you're going to do it the right way, right? And so I love that, and we'll dive deeper. Dom, what did you think of Justin as a young black man?
It, I love this kid. And it was such a specifically him having ADHD. A lot of times we have a lot of characters who say they got ADHD, and it's just like, we gonna say the character got it just to like pay homage to inclusivity.
Hmm.
The way Justin acts throughout this entire show is such a good depiction of what it's like to live with ADHD, because it's not something, if you don't know what to look for, it's not like an I don't want to say an obvious uh disorder, but it's to the naked eye it is understated a lot, because because with ADHD, you hyper because and it's his whole living situation. Part of his sheltering is to manage the ADHD because his parents now have to be his structure or to the nth degree. Like you, because parallel with Keisha wakes up, she gets to school on her own. Her mom ain't checking to make sure she do her homework. Her mom ain't really checking for her. Part of it is because she got to because her mom at work all day every day. But but if Keisha had ADHD, she would be a wreck. You know what I'm saying? She wouldn't be able to function like that. With Justin, his parents have to make this very specific and coordinated plan for every aspect of your life because we have to keep you on track because you can't organize your thoughts in such a way that it's very hard to plan long term. It's very hard to look at the moment and have a concept of the moment after or have a concept of how my actions right now are going to affect next week. Like that's a very difficult thing. And then you go through periods because people think that ADHD is just like I can't focus on anything, but it comes in waves, right? And so a lot of times with ADHD, when you have something you're interested in, that's how life is driven, is based on interest and complexity. And so like when Keisha enters his life, and he's hyper focused on Keisha, and Keisha is in a lot of sense his purpose. Now all of a sudden I can do 8 essays in a night. You know, I can hyper focus on something and get it done because I have something that I'm interested in that I'm waiting for and I'm trying to get to. And so to me, that was such a that's that classic ADHD symptoms and characteristics that I just really appreciated. And it kind of, it was I appreciate. Eh, and I liked his progression, I'll tell you from just like me being critical and me being a lover of like film and shots and how stuff is composed. The pool scene I thought was very good in the sense of like it was so symbolic to do it in the pool because he was drowning at that point. Like in his life, he was drowning. And what do you do when you drown? You grab at whatever's closest to you. And a lot of times drowning people will pull other people under with them. And that's what he was trying to do with Keisha in that scene. And that's, that final little hump he had to get over before he came up and out of the water and started to swim on his own. I just appreciated that whole, like how that scene was organized and stuff like that. So I like Justin. I liked his progression and I like you said, how sensitive he is and how I like the fact that he liked the girl and he was unapologetic. I like we never got a scene where he was trying to front on her and he was like, I'm cool now and I'm gonna act like I'm the stuff in front of you. He was like, I like this girl. If this is I ain't gonna hear I'm not gonna hear nothing bad said about this girl in my presence. You're not finna do that. I'm finna stand up for this girl, and this is who I want, and I'm gonna be intentional and unapologetic about that. I like that, and especially for a young man at that age, I like that wasn't like demonized or shunned at all. And so
The way he was about to cry in front of everybody at that park. I said, just pull it together, damn it.
yeah, I
Don't
was like, I was like, tighten up. Don't do it, tighten up.
But you guys, thank you so much for the 70 plus people in the building. I want to say thank you really quick.
I used to
And
think
we will
about how
be
you been act when
right
it
back.
got money. Now you just switched up on me. Now you gonna say what's up to me. Oh, so now you wanna make love to me. Girl, if you don't get from me, I know you thought we had something special, but you don't mean nothing to me. Girl, I'm sorry you not the one for me. Just be honest, girl, what you want from me. Say nothing to keep it so 100. I can't let none of these niggas get one up on me. I go back, I tell you better run from me. Give hold to my money. Adios to the can't get a hug from me. I'm high on life, that's what it does for me. My numbers going up, I feel a buzz coming. Young, friends, bad food, and some fun with you. Cause I'm on it. And we like, do what they want. If you don't like gold niggas, girl, don't get from me. I know you thought we had something special, but you don't mean that to me. Girl, I'm sorry you don't want for me. They say I don't condone it. Cheating on your man, but you could get it if you want it. Looking for a bad bitch.
Whew, shout out to y'all. Thank you so much for being here. And let's get right back into it. Let's see, where was I at, y'all? Okay, We're going to pass Justin. I tried a different way with these slides today, so
I
bear
see.
with me.
Interesting.
So of course we had our first meeting at the party. Justin is immediately in love, honey, with Kesha. He said, I want to go out with you. I want to take you shopping. First date and tricking. Because at the end of the day, a bag equated to attempted head in the movie theater or wherever we were. And I was like, well, Kesha. And here's the thing. I agree with what Tyra said earlier in terms of I would have loved a backstory. I would have loved more out because the singular event of this Smex tape with Christian is not Kesha in totality. And I think there were steps and events that led up to this point. Because what would make you on a first date after this man gifted you this bag, which, I mean, it might have been a little bit expensive, but it wasn't that. And you decide to try and give him sloppy toppy. Like it was like, girl, stand up. Like, where is your worth, baby? What you been out here doing is were you doing it for bracelets? I don't. It took me back to Degrassi. I was a Secret Life of American Teenager. I said, what are we doing? I said, what are we doing, baby? It was jarring. It was shocking. And of course, it was like, do you do this to everybody? Like, is it because I bought you the bag, Kesha? I never want to talk to you again. I'm so embarrassed. I'm blocking you. Blocking you on everything. I'm blocked. You blocked. Dom, I'm starting with you. First dates and tricking. What did you think of this?
First of all, pause because it ain't tricking if you got it. And so
Man, do what you do.
that man was having a good time and he was like, I'm getting something. I ain't gonna get something and you not get something. That is just not how we do
I
things.
loved it.
And so he was just being a gentleman. That's all that was. Get what you want, girl. Um, that this was a scene. This was a scene, and I don't know. I felt like the beginning of this show tried to grab you with a lot of shocking stuff to like get you in. Like I said with the mom and our introduction to her, and then this scene. I think this was like a TV show thing. This was like this is. Early in the TV show, we got to hook you to let you know that we're like HBO. You know, when you watch HBO show and like the first two episodes, you're gonna see some breasts. It's like, just because the HBO got to show you, like, oh, let me remind you that this is an HBO show. You didn't know that you was watching HBO, right? And so that's what this was to me. It's like, you do know we on Netflix, right? You know, it ain't no rating on this thing. And that to me, that's what it was, because like that was such a weird. It didn't feel like that was emblematic of any of the rest of her character. And so it was, yeah, and then we didn't get a lot of resolution with it or explanation for it, and so it was a scene. It was a scene to kick stuff off, but the chemistry of these two people is great. I liked watching them. I felt like they were real on a real date, and so outside of that, and if he hadn't bought the bag, that would have been a great movie because he would have let it happen. So
And it brought us
but I would
full
have.
circle because at the end, she finally gets the bag because, of course, he had been holding it all this time. And and I only say tricking because of her behavior. I don't say it's
No,
tricking
yeah.
because he gifted
No,
her.
that was trick like behavior. It was, yeah. There was a because you said it wasn't about that, but it was the cause and effect because you're not finna tell me I got so much sauce that you just went down on the first date. Yeah, but because if I hadn't bought you the bag, then baby, but you can't.
Yo,
I'm gonna have the same question.
I think that's what they wanted us to think. I don't think they wanted us to think it was about the bag.
No, and it wasn't about the bag, but that's why I said earlier. All of these characters' motivations to me were understandable because Kesha just really did like him like that, and like she said, she felt comfortable and calm. So she was just, this is what you do when I like somebody. Like that should have been explored more, but that's how she was feeling. And he was like, I just bought you a bag, and now you're going down. I've never had a girlfriend before, so all I know about women is what my dad say and what my homeboy say. So I'm feeling like a trick. So now I gotta ask. Now I gotta be like, whoa, because this ain't what I want. And so to me, it was all understandable. But I would have had the same question.
I didn't know what to think of it. It just opened up more questions than answers, and it opens up more questions about Kesha because we know what's taking place in the Smex tape situation, and it feels like a narrative of, well, were there people prior to Christian, or was it just Christian? Were incidents taking place to where you did feel like, well, that's kind of what I took it as, because via mama, that's a prize girl, that's a Kesh, that's a baller, everybody. And since he is such a hot commodity, how long is he going to be interested in me, athleticism or whatever? I'm not, sexually active just yet. I'm still a virgin. So let me try to at least do something to, have some type of sexual intimacy with him before he, moves on and finds something greater and better. And then we also have that little smite comment that I just was like, oh, remember you thought you were ugly and I look so tired and I'm just and nobody likes me. Now I was like, we can't, maybe, getting into the self-esteem issues and things like that. This being a first date, I did like how awkward Justin was. Like, I ain't never even been outside like that. Oh my god! Because you never see that. Most of the time, it's like, yeah, girl, I done had mine. Yeah, every time. Yeah, yeah, you ain't the first. You ain't gonna be the last. It's like, oh my god. What are you doing, girl? I was trying to be kind and buy you a bag. Is this because? And it was a genuine question. Now, when she, scurried off, even, on this walk and, they encountered the friends, she is carrying around so much guilt and shame because subconsciously she's always worried. Who saw the video? Are they talking about me? Are they whispering about me? And she, dropped the hand. So even in here, it's almost like, can I ever kind of get beyond that? And hell, if I do want to just be a girl and I do like you that much and I do want to do we want it? No, narratively, we don't want Kesha to be given top on the first date. We don't. I don't give a damn if it's Justin or whoever it is, bad or not. But there are girls out here doing this. Some, unfortunately,
We just here for a good time.
yeah, oral with this generation, it has become for some as innocent as a kiss on the first date.
My God.
It has, and that's something for that generation to deal with. But we handing it out like goodie bags. We just are, because it's just that I didn't give him this part of myself yet. I just gave my mouth or whatever. It was just nothing. It's just very casual. So as jarring as it is for us, this is a thing.
Oh
This is definitely a thing, and her reaction to it was the reaction. Did you see the tape? Like, she runs off because she's ashamed.
And easing on down here, when Justin finally gets back in her good graces after stalking her, after ditching school, after doing all of these things, rolling up on her, they finally reconnect and they go to the park and we bump into Christian, right? The Smex tape that takes up half the season, just dumb, really dumb, because the way Kesha pissed me off in this episode, where Christian is at the park. Of course, her mom's there. And again, unbeknownst to her, mom is completely in the dark. She has no clue about this toppy sex tape. We find out Christian, what he did, why he did it. We find out that Kesha was the one responsible for the tape. This was all her idea. But he and his friends in the group chat got in a conversation. They were talking about how the YT girls give it better. And he said, well, let me show you something.
I'll show you better. I can tell you.
You. And so he decides to share this beautiful black woman's, talents with the group chat. And I told her to delete it
Diabolical. Why is he standing back there like that?
because that's what he looks like. A little elfin creature, a hobbit from the Shire with them ears, a little junior Will Smith. He was just the worst. And he looked goofy. You look, you know what I mean? You look like a Poindexter. The choices that were made, but
He didn't even have to audition. He walked in and was like, yeah, come on.
the way that, they lean over, it appears to be a kiss, and that's all little Justin needs to see. And I really thought, I said, do we need to watch him? Because it gave mental health. It gave what is going to happen with Justin. He can't handle it.
Stop it. Yo, wild.
Because I was nervous. I said, he's in that dark room. The blinds are drawn. The way he was curled up in that sheet. I said, oh my God.
You ain't no better than the mama. Lord, let that boy hurt. Let that boy hurt.
I mean, hurt, but baby, or how long you gonna hurt for? I mean, the shutters were drawn. Are you taking baths? Because his room was clean. He had stuff strewn about. This really pissed me off because Kesha, why are you playing these games? Yeah, I'm gonna go to prom with him. I'm gonna do everything with him because I can't let my mama know what happened. And my thing is, girl, can't you just say I don't like him no more? Like you just could never say that. You couldn't say, I just don't like him anymore. Even if you didn't want to tell your mama the truth. I hate it. I hate his stinking guts. He's not a good person, mom. Like none of that, Tyra, starting with you, the Smex tape that takes up half the season, and this whole and Justin on his bed of affliction. Did you think it was meant to happen?
Girl, he was on an emotional roller coaster like he was Vivian Green. I say, sweetie pie, it's gonna be all right. I kept having him like, okay, this is his first girlfriend. This is first, like he's already like hyper emotional as hell. Like he act like the world had and somebody shot his dog. I was like, damn, buck her up, Buttercup. It's gonna be all right. Lord, girl, he was just over it. Like he when we got, which I know we're getting to, when he was like he was consumed and Kesha was his whole world, I believed it because boy, are you okay? It was a lot. Yeah, I once we got like episode 4, I was like, oh, this entire story is gonna surround this next tape. I was like, oh, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that, and I don't really think it did any favors to stay here for so long or to even spend so much time on the likes of Christian. I know why we were here, so we can get into the fields. I kept I was like, this is not for us. Remind myself this is not for us. So we do have to have like this age group. Blocking is serious. Blocking is crazy. Like, oh, you block. Oh God. Like, it's such a big thing. It's like, oh, it's a huge thing. So I understand why it was so significant for them. But the way and the plot convenience of, well, these are the reason I keep having to surround myself with Christian, because my mom, she has so much on her shoulders. She's working 2 jobs. I'm already lying. I got put out of the school where I was on scholarship, and now we're about to get evicted. The rent's going up, and oh, she got this prom dress. So now it did get to be a bit much. And I think the story suffered for it. We need to see this pointy-eared little boy that much. We didn't. We didn't. And even just the interaction here, like I was like, girl, punch him in the face. I thought that maybe this would be the last of it, but even I think this was fine. I think it was the moment where I guess due to this interaction, Justin wasn't as receiving of her, and then it's just like, well, I'm gonna go over here and just go to Christian and go to this lush gym or school or this facility, and we're gonna run and practice. And why? Why are we here? Why are we here? What are we doing here? And then it's that. And then when they do kind of, okay, you're unblocked and we're together. Okay, well, yeah. And I think this after their initial first time, it's like, well, I got to go to prom with him.
Yeah, it was.
It's like, no, you don't. It's like, well, I do because X, Y, and Z. And it's just like, yeah, I know we don't want to say the thing, but we could at least say, yeah, mom, I'm not messing with him no more. And Justin's my boyfriend. We can do that and still not acknowledge that damn tape. That tape could have been burnt.
That at
Please.
this point, and shout out to the actor Xavier Mills. No disrespect to you, who plays Christian, but it was dumb.
I don't know. Christian didn't really get because it is a serious thing to release or send something like that. But as we said, it's so casual in the culture. But I guess it matched with the narrative that he wasn't going to receive any repercussions or any heavy heartedness. It was all going to be on Keisha's shoulders.
Absolutely, dumb.
Yeah, this is that, and that I find myself feeling like I got to defend parts of the show. But I genuinely, when I was watching it, I felt like this was one an accurate portrayal of these type of situations is as far as I know. Obviously, I'm not obviously, but I don't have any personal knowledge to go off of. But I imagine that this was how this would go. The blocking is hilarious because smartphones was like a new thing at the end of my high school career, and blocking was a thing in my high school, but it was the final thing. So it was like, are y'all really done? No, y'all gonna get back together. I blocked her. Ooh, shit. Oh, dang. Okay, now it's over. That was what blocking was when I was in high school. It was like you blocked them, so it's over with. That's how you know it's final, because that unblock button don't get hit. But now it's just a timeout. So it's funny how stuff change. But the idea of, I felt like a lesser show or a more sensationalized show would have went down the road of Christian is the villain of the season for her arc, and we got to make sure he gets his comeuppance. So we got to take him down, and we got to focus on that. And I'm like, this, I feel like took a more realistic take of one, how this stuff comes up. Because even though what he did is very serious, he is still a kid, and the ramifications of what he did should never be downplayed. But the point of view of him as not a mustache twirling villain who just did this, you know what I'm saying? That because that's how a lot of this stuff is. It's like it was. I never really cared for you, and I'm just doing it, and I show no remorse, and I and it, the realistic thing is that young boys too often move, and a lot of times grown men, but a lot of times we move without considering that there's different ramifications for women. And so when I throw a sex tape and it's all high fives and it's all great, and it don't matter how I get around as long as my mama don't see it. Like that's that's the thought process from a man's perspective. We're not thinking of the fact that everything in this young girl's life has changed based off of me being dumb, and it's continually changed. And how she didn't change schools, and now her entire life, her mama worked 2 jobs because of this sex tape, and so it's like such a thing that, and I feel like his aloofness and his ignorance to that, without him being like malicious, I felt like was accurate to them being children. And I felt like they highlighted this, and I felt like a lot of the times this stuff goes like this, where it's like, no, we don't go get a lawyer played by Denzel Washington or Julia Roberts who's gonna make it their personal mission to make sure this person pays and sees you get justice, and it doesn't matter that you go on the news and everybody calls you all these names. It's about the principle. Like, that's not that story, and that's not how the story goes in real life. A lot of times you just got to deal with it, and it sucks, and it shouldn't be that way. But that is the truth of the matter a lot of the times, and I felt like this show did a good job of executing that in that way. So yes, it was dumb, and she is a kid. I felt like she as smart as she is, as capable as she is, as mature as she is for her age because of what she had to deal with, she's still a kid. She's still scared, and scared kids do dumb stuff, and it don't make sense. And when you ask somebody did it, I don't know, because I was scared. It is not, whatever answer you get, not gonna make sense, because scared kids do dumb stuff, and that's just so I appreciate it.
That's cool. I'm just saying, I just wanted Justin to give him a black eye.
Oh, I wanted to on the basketball court. I thought it was going down on the basketball court. And that's the other thing. That's why I was when he was like, when Justin found out, he was like, "Oh, him, little man can hoop." I was like, "All right, that's all right. You could be a little bit of a villain." Dang, God, dang. I wanted to go down on the basketball court, but it's
Thanks, Rod, for the $5 super chat. Justin's mom started to give girlfriend a bit, some parts, LMAFO, whatever that is. You know, I can't say the words. She was jelly of Kesha a few times. Yeah, I think any overbearing mother like Justin's mama is the first girl that really is going to take up space in your son's life. There's going to be a bit of that, but I don't think she was as bad as she could have been in that respect. Now, I've got issues with Justin's mama, and of course, we will get into that a little bit, but it wasn't. I think it could have been worse, because I know some of us who think that they're their son's girlfriends, but it didn't give that. It just gave. It was like, I really want to protect him. That's what I felt from Justin's mom. I'm going to protect him, but almost to a fault, to where I stifle him is what it gave. But
because that's why you need a daddy. That's why you need a dad.
we do. We need fathers. You know what I mean? Good fathers, like we had in the series. But on again, off again, blocked and unblocked, endless misdirects, trips to the vineyard, doubling back, all I did for you, a ton of sex, college acceptance, and prom. That's it in a nutshell, y'all. That's what happened. That's the story. That's the story. And of course, we go through all of the ups and downs. I chase you on foot, on a bus. Kesha, please stand up, sis. That was probably the thing that stood out to me most, because I wish I would.
Let us check that boy. Let us check that boy.
On foot. And then not only that, to make matters worse, a couple episodes later, I'm gonna chase him across the country because he really got me blocked. He blocked me good this time. He blocked me on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. I can't email him.
For
I'm
months.
blocked. So let me go to the vineyard with Chloe because I know his people. He told me about this street he goes on in this arcade. So I'm gonna just, try to find myself there a couple times. Mama
Hey,
sees her. Okay, girl. Yeah, it's like what the little white chick put her in her suitcase and bring Kesha up here. Now that was the shade of it
that
all.
was funny. That was hilarious.
Yeah, it was a couple of digs like, oh, I love therapy. Tell me why black people don't like it again. I was like, all right, okay.
But we get there, we chase them like Dom said she was on that little bike going across town, throwing titties at them. It was a lot going on in the vineyard.
Man, that cousin.
Ma'am.
Dom, please. I just want you to be my first. It was just it was a lot of teen stuff. Of course, we're going down through there, but what was really telling for me was again, he had put in some effort. But I mean, to chase this boy across the country and just try to find him. Can I just be in your space again, Justin? You was just really him for me. Like Keisha, I need you to stand up. Dom, I'm going to start with you. This is just, again, this was the ups and downs of the series. This is what it was. Any things that stood out to you? Anything you wanted to talk about specifically?
I was the way the specific scenes I think might have been a little bit much, but I was so happy with her doing that with like chasing him and stuff. Only because I was worried when we were watching the first half of the season and he is
About his
down
mental
bad. Well, no. Well, no.
he was
Stop it,
mental health
because
issues.
he didn't have mental health issues. He's just a
Okay.
boy with a with his heart broken. This is look when you awkward and sheltered and your heart break. Look, you're not, because you're not an angry kid. You're not punching holes in the walls. You're not flipping tables. You crying and listening to the beats he made. That's look. Let the boy experience the heartbreak in his shelter so he can learn from it.
Okay.
But I was the whole first half of the season, the amount of energy he put in going after her. He's skipping school. He manipulating the driver trainer. He's showing up at the baseball field looking, hoping for a glimpse. And he was putting so much energy that when now it flipped and he was the one blocking, I was worried that she wasn't gonna put in the same amount of energy. And so these scenes, like her following him and getting on the train, that was cute. I don't care what that was cute because she kept looking at him like, you don't even know where you're going. That was cute, but because you be so mad, you be like, I'm just mad just to be mad, and you be like, when you go, I'm just gonna be here when you stop being mad. That's a very cute scene, and I just appreciated them writing something that showed her putting like the same amount of energy in, and so that I appreciated the Martha Vineyard thing was the most TV stuff this show had ever, because I was glad, but and it was I think why I didn't dislike it is because it kept subverting my expectations and I kept getting apprehensive that this show was going to start turning left or be predictable, and it didn't. And I guess I kept breathing deeply, appreciating, because when they got to Martha's Vineyard and I realized she was there with the friend, I'm like, oh man, I'm like, she didn't tell the friend this is why she there. She's just coming and she gonna ditch the friend and go find Justin. So now that's gonna mess up the friendship. And so, but I'm like, nope, we get there and it's the friend's plan and she in on it and she focused on it. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm like the Harriet the Spy type of shenanigans we got to do to find this boy. And the fact that we actually did it. I mean, I'm glad that she didn't actually find him at the basketball court, because that was also going to make me mad. It's like, first of all, you went to the black side of the island. You just you went to the arcade and you found a family. Okay. Then you haphazardly just follow the random basketball players. Just let me follow the black men with a basketball, and then they'll lead me to their watering hole of the basketball court, and I'll find my man there. The fact that he wasn't there, I was like, thank you.
He was there earlier, Dom. Leave it alone. If she would have rolled that bike a little faster, she would have caught him.
But that was the most Notebook loving basketball. This is the most sensational this show had got, and I was like, all right, this is a lot, but it was fine. It was fine, and it didn't turn me off the show. 3 episodes, I was ready to turn the show off. But when we get to this part, I'm like, all right, I gotta see it through at this point. So it was cool.
Okay. Tyra, on again, off again, blocked and unblocked.
It's par for the course with the teenage relationships in a show format for my old ass. Is it something I want to? No. But in the terms of their relationship and what it means, and just the tit for tat, it's very on brand for these these teenage relationships and how they could go. They are very on again, off again, and besides like the blocked part. I think anybody could be, especially like, child, you've been in high school in a long time. But just the seriousness of, are we not talking, or, you're on again, or we not together, and then we got to go back. And that's pretty standard, for a high school situation. So I didn't mind that. Them endless misdirects miss me with that. I'm never going to enjoy that. I don't care. Dumb. All you do is explain why you don't like driving past the prisons. Don't put that fear on my back. Don't put that fear on my back. Have us thinking at any moment this young man is gonna be gunned down in the street, and then you do this, then you name the show Forever. Like, all right, he gonna live on in infamy as the long lost dead love that was unrequited because they couldn't go on because he got gunned down in the street. Yeah,
And she had an infinity necklace too, a bracelet. I was like,
forever. They say, forever. You gonna love me forever? We can be together. I'm gonna be here for you forever. Like, that just means you not. And it's like, this will go two ways. Either you guys are gonna break up, or you gonna die. Like, but by a certain point, I was like, okay, that's not what this is. They just was trying to play on our emotions. The trips to the vineyard, as Dom said, that's when the show got real fantastical. I ain't need to see Miss Mama's titties on that beach. I said, girl, put the things away. What are you doing?
Damn.
She said, we should be effing, I was like, what is happening? When did we get here? Sure. All of that, I appreciated the adult aspect in the vineyard. And, I was like, okay, Mama, cutting loose, smoking a little herb, all right, drinking. Yeah, F them kids.
Did you see all that movement back there?
Yeah, I did. I say, I see you would. Yup. Yup. Yeah, I was here for that. I was absolutely here for the parents cutting loose, and even the conversation that they have with the I think it was a more like flamboyant uncle or cousin. Like, girl, you always why you still trying to get over there? He need to go to the predominantly black school, HBCU, and that I enjoyed those aspects of the vineyard, but the like you said, we needed our rom-com, say anything pretty and pink, over riding to each other on these bikes and it's an embrace, and we're gonna do it in the barn and wash it all off in the ocean. And yeah, that's when it got real. Like, that's what they did. They went to the ocean. It got more, into fantasy, but hey, let them have their moment. We kind of came back down to earth, and all of the pressure that they were putting on college, because even with them being so active, even if you are protected, that doesn't always guarantee anything. So getting back into the misdirects, some people could have been waiting, oh, she gonna come up pregnant, oh Lord. So when they finally, did get accepted and did get in, and it wasn't, that was great. And prom is prom. Prom on TV is always gonna look like,
man,
I was like, what prom are y'all going to? Where are these proms at? But the prom situation, it was great. It was fabulous, like all the other TV proms.
So the only choreographed dance we did at my prom was the Soldier Boy. Like, what are y'all? Where y'all learning these dances?
It was She's All That level. I thought they was going to play Check It Out Now, Funk Soul Brother, and Matthew Lillard was going to come out there. I was like, what is this choreographed dance? This ain't what them fans at. Why y'all all know the dance? This ain't a line dance.
They practiced, Tyra. They practiced it. But now heading over into the themes, honey. And thank y'all so much for still hanging with us, because there's just so much to talk about, y'all. I didn't realize there was this much to talk about, but apparently there is. And so now we get into the parenting. And I loved how we got to see all manners of parenting styles exhibited. We got overbearing mother, strong Black mother who got to work all the jobs, a deadbeat daddy, emotionally intelligent and aware father. Was there too much overreach? We see an inability to talk to parents, and we even get to see absenteeism and the effects of that on a young Black girl, right? Who has a father in theory, but not enough to be active on a regular basis, but comes and wants to throw his weight around when it's an audience, which pissed me off. Tyra, I'm going to start with you. What did you think of the demonstration of parenting in the show and how we kind of got to see all different sides of it?
I tell you this, when that fine actor from Black Lightning showed up, so if you can get your ass out of here with your feet up on this couch, do you have a job? Are you contributing to the household? That man showing up bothered me so much. I was like, get your ass out of here.
Scared Justin.
We know, even when we have, because we don't really hear so much beyond, the grandpa. And I do love that even though we were absentee, grandpa was still trying to be really in effect and kind of pick up where his son was lacking. That was a nice touch to know that there was some type of male presence in her life. But the way that we kind of have, that was another shortcoming. The way we kind of have Kesha kind of rationalize him being a sorry dad. I was like, and he just comes back and he's received. This dad is on par. There's always an absentee father for whatever reason. With him, it's career in baseball, in the league, and that whatever. Bottom line, you are a presence and you are in her life. We're communicating via picture because it's easier than words. So it's a Snapchat relationship. No, does not a father make. But the way that he is just immediately received, like no time had went by, and loved not only by Kesha but by her mother.
Shelly busted down that night. You can't make
Yeah,
me believe
busted down real bad. He was all in that thing, in that apartment. I said, "Are you serious?"
Laid up, eating all the fruit snacks.
Eating the snacks. He had the whole tub of ice cream. This man. He didn't even get a bowl. Like, you ain't even put a bowl. You ain't even fix a bowl, dude. Like, he had the whole got his feet up. Let me tell you something. When he was in there on Justin's neck about who he was and what he did, let me hear something right now. Man, let me play a beat. That ain't. Boy, I didn't know how to receive that. Now, I will say that there is, one of the mans who just have it like that, to where regardless how you treated the daughter, how absentee you were, I don't know if he was running funds back to her, I don't know, but she still want that thing. So the moment you touch down, it's on. Your mama get back together. It's like, yeah, he was just received more than I thought he would be. And he was extremely comfortable. And he needed to get the hell up out of Justin's face. I will say that. Child, lost my train of thought. He needed to go.
She was saving it for him.
She was saving that thing all hot, all down at Howard time I don't start nothing. You got right now. Girl. I think, and even that, I'm sure that is intentional. Even how she was all gung-ho about Christian and, oh girl, that's a surprise. They're like, even though I'm pushing Kesha to go to Howard, be an athlete, get, all of those good things, at the end of the day, if you get somebody like Christian, like, oh, athlete, just like your little bum ass father, all right. There's all of that, just kind of where she lies. And that's really why I wanted to get into Kesha and her self-worth, as to why she felt like, if I want you to know that I really like you, the initial thought is to give you head on the first date. Yeah, let's unpack that, but we didn't do that. I do like that Kesha's mom did come full circle. She is the stereotypical, struggling. That's how we know he wasn't sending no money back, because she was struggling way too hard working them jobs. You ain't had no money over there in the what is the league over there? That's not the real league. Whatever it is, the little I don't know, over there, down there, where you're in a foreign place playing baseball, football, whatever it is.
Negro leagues. He was in the Negro league.
You wasn't sending nothing back because she was struggling. Anyway, she was struggling, but her trying to balance all those things, putting all that weight on Kesha, but not even really acknowledging that you are trying to live through her, and you're putting so much pressure on her that she doesn't feel comfortable to confide in you when she makes a mistake. But her acknowledging that and getting into the therapy, and even Justin's mom reaching out in that little rapport, I did appreciate that. Baby, Wood Harris ate down.
Come on.
The father ate down. I like the tone. I like how he respectfully checked his wife when he needed
Period.
to. And even like, he knew when to give his son his space. He knew when he needed to interject. He knew when he needed to, well, baby, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it because it needs to be done. Because eventually we have to stop, the nesting and kind of, we can't keep him here forever. He has to grow up. So I had to make sure he has the tools to do that as a man. I was happy for that. Then he was a chef. Yeah,
Open up
Um,
restaurants. You heard that, right?
yeah.
Multiple restaurants.
Yeah. Back in the days on the Boulevard of Linden, I would have been down there. Um, this mother, his mom was very prevalent on the show out of all the parents. How we met her, it was jarring. I was like, well, dang, at least ask him why, or try to, initiate, okay, son, you're doing these things. Why did you, you skip or write or okay? And not even that. It was never implementing, okay, Justin, what do you want to do? What do you like? Even when we're kind of introducing that narrative of him kind of falling into music, and the way she was like, well, can you just do that? You just stealing, ain't that copyright? Ain't that stealing? What is it? And that was just something that she didn't want to nurture because she had something vision for her son. And all it was just all out of fear. And you have to be the best son. You have to. I told you it was Breakfast Club, and it was Emilio Estevez. You got to be the best son. You got to do this and do that and check all these boxes to be a prominent black man. It's going to be hard for you, so let's just do these things this way. I did like that, even though that they were affluent and were wealthy in college, and you're the first son, we are getting into more generations where they don't feel like college is an option. They want to explore other avenues to be successful. So I did like that. And his mother did come along. She did come along, but we do know at the end of the day, her smothering him and always, trying to be hands on was out of fear. And also because she had a maybe older way of thinking of these are the things that you need to do as a black man to progress, when Justin, being younger, has different ideas.
For sure. And again, I agree because at first I was all prepared to hate Justin Mama, played by Karen Pittman. I know Karen from Over There with Luke Cage, honey, and I adore her as an actress. I think she did a great job in not only conveying, because a lot of times we see, especially black mothers, presented as strong and as overbearing and as controlling, when really it all springs from a place of love and safety. Like, I know my child struggles academically. I know the struggles of a black man here in America, in this space, and how challenging it is. How can I best prepare him to succeed in life? Period, after all is said and done. And I think they did a great job of not only showing the overbearing side and like, son, you have to do this, you have to do this, but also her motivation, because it wasn't just about status. And I think when you get into the black bourgeoisie and all that, it can kind of feel like that in a lot of representations. But this was really like, I just want my son to be okay. Like, I just want him to make it. Like, I would love it if he would go to Northwestern. And of course, I want him to do something stable. I don't know about this music thing, but I loved how we got her motivation, and it wasn't just the presentation of this angry black mama.
It was troublesome that Justin face was hanging down to the floor, and she's like, "Baby, we going to Howard? We going to the Northwestern." Justin literally looks like he's in the sunken place, and she's not acknowledging that at all. But I'm sure that was on purpose. But I'm like, as a parent and a mother, when your child isn't okay, and he's just like, "Yay, yeah."
Yeah, I'm like, all right,
I get depressed.
sense. But again, all she could see is her singular mission of, I got to get him there. I got to get him there. He has these challenges. We got past that. And he's dreading every step. He's like, I'm not going to make it there. I'm not going to survive. Dom, talk to me about the parenting styles we saw, these different parents, and what you thought about it.
The the first thing all of this made me feel like is like, I just need my daughter not to grow up. She got to stay a child. She got to stay 8 for the next 18 years, because boy, I ain't ready. But this was, like you said, a very diverse way of looking at parenting. We got a lot of different aspects of parenting. I feel like they're all authentic to stuff we can see in real life. Justin's parents, like you said, I appreciate the motivation of them, because like I brought up before, from jumping the broom to that Raggedy Show Three Women with Nola's mom.
Yeah.
That but it's always about what it looks like in the presentation of it, and you have to do this because this is what we need to look like, and this is what we need to put forth and present. But their motivation was, I need you to be successful. And because you have this different learning style, and you are not the best athlete, you need we have to put this plan to you. We have to be your structure. And I appreciated that the mom to me wasn't, I wouldn't call her overbearing, only because she had the dad there to be the balance. Like if she was the only one raising Justin, then of course she would be overbearing and he would be a marshmallow as an adult. But her, because as when they're talking and you realize that she is the structure of the household. Like the dad is the creative one, and he just, he's a great chef and he's talented, but she's the structure behind it. She's the structure behind the business. She's the structure behind the household, and she's pushing him towards something that she knows for sure will work. I don't know if your artistic endeavor will work. I'm sure you're great. I'm sure it's nice. I'm sure it's have fun, but I don't know that it'll work to sustain you. I know this will work. And because I have to push you up this hill, because I don't know if you're, because as your parent, is my job to put you in the best position when you leave here. And so I got to push you to that. And I guess and the dad was like, and I love the dad, because when you have a sheltered family, because a lot of times with black kids, or less fortunate or less economically poor kids, when it's black kids or it's poor kids, life makes you grow up, because what life does with you just gonna grow up regardless, because life is going to be in a way where you're not going to be able to avoid it. But when you're affluent, when you're a little bit more comfortable, when you're at least middle class, then if you're going to raise a productive person, then you have to introduce the struggle to them, because you can't shelter them until they're an adult and then just let them out. And now we got all these weak people as adults with the same rights as everybody else. That's just not going to work. And so you have to, and so the dad was really good about introducing discipline, introducing struggle. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give you a little rope because I got to see what you do with it. And I'm gonna give you a little more rope because I got to see what you do with it. That's kind of how you got to do that. And I think I really attached to them, because it was so similar to how I grew up. Because my dad was like, I had a little sister, and my dad was like, look, you a man, you got to figure it out. So y'all gonna go to this party, take your sister, and make sure she get home. And I'm like, I'm 16. I don't want to. But
What happened in Hereditary, don't it?
well, no, but that's the thing, because but also what I didn't know is when I come out the party and I'm making sure my sister is there, my dad down the street in the car watching the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
And so he wasn't playing. He was like, I'm a trust but verify. But he kind of had to do that, and so I just appreciated their dynamic and their balance. And then with the on the other side of it, I felt like it was a a common thing with what is this girl's name? What Lovey's name is? Kesha. Keisha's parents, I feel like is a dynamic we see a lot of times, but I felt like it didn't get too stereotypical. It didn't get caricature. It did to me, like it was like, yeah, we've seen this dynamic a lot of the time, but I didn't feel like it was like a cartoonish version of it. I didn't feel like I was waiting for Loretta Devine to come in and be like, oh, woe is me. It was like, yeah, these type of family structures exist, and we got to figure it out. And so, and yeah, you're gonna come around when you come around. It's gonna be a good time, and then you're gonna leave again. That's just the dynamic we have at this point, and it did waste energy to be bitter about it. Like we just gonna grit our teeth and bear it, and then Papa was a Rolling Stone. The wind gonna blow, and he gonna be gone again, and that's just the situation we gonna have. And so I appreciated that both parenting styles are represented, and they both produced good kids. I think that was the best part of this. Is like we had two wildly different setups, but they both produced good kids. Didn't nobody get pregnant? Didn't nobody get gunned down? Ain't nobody snort no crack? Ain't nobody try to sell drugs? It was none of that. It's just
Jordan,
I like it.
I've been just the awareness that we've been so traumatized by black narratives on television that this is what we anticipated from this story. Oh God, the police is going to be a shooting. He's a goner. I was saying it very early on,
They
but
send us down that rabbit hole.
intentionally by design. But yeah, I'm gonna give it up one more time for Eric, played by Wood Harris, because again, we need more. We need more of this. Even how you comfort Keisha in a moment like this. No, son,
Mm,
here's what you're gonna do. You know what we talked about? Yeah, put my wallet in the
hmm.
thing, do this, do this. You go over there, you take her to Lookout Point. Remember I told you where that is? You're gonna talk to her, you're gonna let her talk, you're gonna listen to her. Just chef's kiss to him. It
It's
was
all because it's wood. Actually, go to the slide. Never to play with you.
and of course, one of the bigger themes, of course, was team dating. It was a lot for me personally, but like I said, it didn't. And I know people just always want stuff to be outraged. Like I said, I couldn't get through Euphoria. I could watch this series, so I'll say there's worse depictions of teen life presently. I thought it was fairly moderate. I like Tyra said, I think it is just very extremely jarring to see depictions of younger people engaged in this way, right? When we're not used to it. And I want to know from you guys, is this the culture? What's really the prevalence of revenge porn? And where does all of this damn space and opportunity come from? Keisha was the salutatorian of
Really? Actually, I'm not about to play
Stop,
with you.
Ashley. You ain't been out that long.
no, no, baby. In high school, I wasn't smexing in high school. I didn't smex until I was 22 years old.
Oh,
I had
bless your heart.
activities. I had intramurals. I had sports. I had speech. I had marketing club that I traveled for. I wasn't in a space where I had a ton of time and
Ashley.
opportunity.
Just
I,
tell
I
just
wasn't in a space either until I was about 18. But for anybody who was more active in high school, you don't need that much time, baby. It's always space and opportunity.
That's what I'm saying. And because and it just and that's fine. It just to say it wasn't that much of a priority for you. I think that's more the thing. Well, no,
Not a
because
priority at all. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Because when I was in high school, I ran track. I was on the quiz bowl team. I was
Okay.
on
Well,
yeah, I was on quiz bowl. I was in student government, and I
you
think I
still
was on the
made
yearbook
time.
team. Hmm?
And you still made time and
that, that,
opportunity.
that, no, that gave us more time because what that meant was you was at school more. So at Quiz Bowl, you got the back of the bus. Quiz Bowl was at I was in Michigan. It was dark when we coming back from Quiz Bowl. We in the back of the bus. Like
Oh,
I'm like, and then you go, and then at track when I ran track, the boys practice with the girls. So I'm like, that locker room
Hey,
it's
locker room under bleachers and stuff
yeah.
outside. Like it's no, you don't need it, when you're a teen. You really don't even need a bed, child. You just be outside.
Need a bed. I didn't have a bed. I, Why, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. When I got to college, they gave out a statistic of like when kids lose their virginity on average, and of course with black kids it's much younger. And they gave out the statistic for black boys, and I was like, dang, I beat that by like a year. I was it was we gonna find the time, and we gonna find the space, and it's plenty of it. I'm telling you that it's plenty of it.
With them having more so with they both have a lot of privilege and freedom already with their dynamic. Because Keisha's mom, she's at work all the time. Then they gave y'all say, oh, they gave him a car. Oh, so he got a car. Then he got a jeep.
Yeah, I didn't even have no car. But
You got a jeep backseat, no sheets, jeep. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's that. Like I said, this is the culture. I see the question mark. This is the culture. All of this is the culture. Ashley,
Mhm.
this was very accurate.
Now the prevalence of revenge, I don't know. You see the stories and you see the headlines. I don't know how representative that is of like what they're actually doing. That wasn't a thing when I was in high school.
It's a
But
thing because
okay,
you
I
your
believe.
baby's 8, my baby's about 15.
Yeah, I
It's a
believe it.
it's a thing,
Okay, I believe it. Shit,
a
she's gonna have this.
casual thing.
She gonna have this Apple Watch and nothing else. Like
She said she can call 911 and she can call me with that.
exactly.
All she needs. And of course, we kind of dove into familial pressures already. And again, the pressure of the Black bourgeoisie, legacy, mama has a plan. What happens when it doesn't go according to plan? Now, the only thing we probably haven't addressed was, of course, I want to do my music, mama. He say I got a flair and I'm going to do my music. And the response to that, all right, son, I'm giving you a year. You got a gap year. You better make it shake. If it don't shake in a year, baby, you're going to Northwestern. Like the plan is the plan is the plan is the plan. How did you guys feel like Justin's mama responded to his choice, right? I'm not doing Northwestern, but here's the alternative. And of course, daddy, who cried when he found out his boy got into Northwestern, and now having to have this hard conversation, like, you're gonna be the first to do it, son. Like, I'm so proud of you. And now you have to say, yeah, no, I'm gonna make beats by the hair salon in this little suite, this plaza. Dom.
No, this was great. This was a great because I feel like with parenting, sometimes you got to know when to apply pressure and when to like release the pressure, and that's a touch and go thing. And I felt like they dealt with that because the mom was like, "No, you going to college, period, point blank." And then, but when you kind of hit with this, your son kind of standing his ground because when he said, "I'll go if you make me, I'll go." But I ain't gonna like it, and I ain't gonna go for, and I ain't going for me. I'm going for you. I'm going for you. I couldn't imagine sitting across from my child saying that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because on some level, it's like I know what's best, and even though you don't want to do it, I'm gonna make you do it. Like you deal with that a lot as a parent, but that's a hard thing to confront. And I felt like not giving him exactly what he wanted. Like, all right, go be free and go be creative and just figure it out. But doing it because I feel like with Black kids, we don't talk about gap years. And maybe that was just me when I was growing up. My mom said, "You're going to college and you better get good grades because I ain't paying for it. You going and I ain't paying for it, so figure it out." That was how I got it. And so, so the idea of a gap year, the idea of taking time out to figure things out, is an interesting concept that I felt like at the time was only available to white kids. And so I like that this was like the happy medium that they got and it's I don't know. I liked it. It was great. I like Justin. And I had another point, but I forgot it.
Tyra, maybe it'll come back. Tyra.
I was happy with it. I kept saying as watching, I was like, why are they acting like the struggle is real and it's college or bust? Like, you guys can afford other options. I think with the mom, it was more so about, her not just, oh, this works, so let's work it. It was also legacy. I went there, so my son's gonna go there, and I get to say that my baby. It was that moment for her. I think the dad, he would have been, happy and with his son's decisions, regardless of him maybe being the first. That put some icing on it because now that I know this is what we've always worked on, I think this highlighted the importance of talking to your kids. You never want to push and plan, and your kids have to be a part of the plan because you can want or think naturally, of course you want to do this. Why not? This is, yeah. And then it's just like, no, I never wanted that, mom. It's like, oh, well, what do you want to do? I've been working, I thought for the past 3 years, we all have the same goal. You need to, really be pouring into your kids. I think the forcefulness is, well, if I don't make you do something, you're going to be here floating around the house. I have to, push you to do something or else. Oh, yeah, I think it's just a fine line to kind of walk between. You do want to push, but you also want to acknowledge what do you feel like you'll excel in, and we can maybe combine and really get you in a comfortable space to succeed instead of me just pushing on, you're going to do this because I want you to.
Yeah, and let's nurture that, right? Whatever your gift is, your gift and your talents. And so, of course, socioeconomic status was another big theme within the series. Because when the mama said, "What should they put her in a suitcase? Like, why is she just traveling with the white to the vineyard? Like, why are you here? Why is she here? And we kind of talk about, was it important? Were you surprised? Because this is kind of the thing that stuck out to me. Of course, Mama just wanted him with a black girl. It didn't even matter. Were you surprised that they didn't make it about socioeconomic status with Keisha? That Mom was okay in accepting, even though she wasn't legacy, she wasn't a part of their class per se. I'm gonna start with you, Tyra.
I was surprised. Like Dom said, there were moments where, okay, we're subverting that trope. We're not going to go because that's what we're accustomed to seeing. So I thought it was nice. I even was taken back kind of at her response to finding out about the tape. I was like, oh, okay. I can appreciate that, or reaching out to the mom, or her making it a point, well, okay, if Keisha's going to be here, I need to, have that rapport with her mom. I need her phone number. Like, we're, embarking on something. We're doing this together. I love that she's helping you and all, but, I want to be included. I thought it was nice. It's so easy to kind of go down the trophy rope. Now, I didn't like this white woman showing up here saying, I like these, all these delectables and vegetables y'all picked for us. So what you mean picked? Who wrote that? What the hell you mean picked for y'all? And she's like, oh yeah, help yourself. Get anything. I was like, what you mean? Y'all picked for us. I ain't like that reference. Probably wasn't meant to be one, but don't say it if you don't want me to dig into it. But yeah, I enjoyed that it wasn't that. I did want her to I don't know. It's hard to make that decision because if she was just, plain old Keisha and she wasn't, Howard bound and an athlete and the scholarship and the whole nine, and she was just, maybe as wayward as your baby, lost and trying to find her way, would you still have been just all inclusive, hoorah Keisha because she's Black Keisha? I think, also those things. Because even if we're not, economically there's prospects for Keisha to definitely get there and be, wealthy as well. So we'll never know.
Absolutely. Dom, were you surprised?
I I don't know that I was surprised, but I was glad because if she was also um approved about the socio, I was like, come on, pick one. You done put me in this white school with the white folks. And I done found a black girl, but now you want me to find a rich black girl too? Come on, mama, you doing a lot. It ain't but three at the school you sent me to, and they don't want me. They don't want me. They want Christian, old raggedy looking tail. I like the fact that it was. I do think, like what Tyler said, I do think it would have. She would have. The mom probably would have had a different um, reaction to Keisha if Keisha wasn't like the best of the best of the best with honors, sir. But I think she was looking at it from a standpoint. I think she was looking at it from a standpoint of, is this person going to be a good influence on my son? And I think when you look at Keisha and when you look at them together, I felt like she was like, well, this is relatively speaking a good influence on my son. She's not a negative influence on my son. So I will go with that and help nurture that, at the very least tolerate it. And so I appreciate that. These white folks is hilarious. It is funny because I dated a girl who was from the Caucasus Mountains, and
Oh, Dr. Umar.
yeah. This was before I met him. And so he would have wagged his finger at me. But no, and it was funny because it was a long distance relationship, and I remember I was like them in the sense of like I would take the Greyhound from one end of the state to the other end of the state, and stay with her family, and they would lived on a beach that they lived on Lake Michigan, and Lake Michigan looked like an ocean. Like when you go out to Lake Michigan, you can't see the other end. It looked like an ocean. And so the stuff that these folks say is like
You was on Mackinac with the Y.
what the why? It was Grand Rapids, but yeah. And like these white folks, and then like the white folks in Get Out, that's I'm telling you, it's very accurate. And it's like all of a sudden you brought up Kobe Bryant. You've been talking about hockey. All of a sudden, when I show up, you
I voted
basketball.
for Obama twice.
Yeah. I had that told to me. So yeah. Yeah. And that Jay-Z is he really turned his life around. Like, okay. Man, that man 40.
Or whatever.
but But I like it being. Um, I didn't have a problem. Oh, I brought up the white girl to be like I had family members who were like Justin's mom. Were
Darn, yeah.
like yeah, because I bring a white girl and then I'm at dinner and my aunt's just looking at me like, why don't you like your mom?
Self hate. You're
Hate the
Immediately, and so and then the girlfriend after that is as dark as Keisha is, and so now it was like, oh, all of a sudden we like her. Wait a minute,
wait a minute.
wait a minute, and so so this was hilarious to me, and making it about socioeconomic status. Well, I mean, not making it about socioeconomic status. I thought was paid respect to the different aspects of the community. Like I feel like the show's been doing at this whole point. And so and that's a tired, and I'm gonna keep referencing jumping the broom because I'm like that's a tired trope, and I'm tired of it. Yeah, so I'm glad that they didn't do it.
They did, and I was like, "Oh Lord, we want a Martha's Vineyard again."
And I actually liked I enjoyed Chloe's parents being here and kind of seeing the similarities of just wealth period because it's going to afford anyone with it these opportunities and this lavish, and there wasn't a thing of, oh, you're, it's the blacks on the beach. It gave very much, oh, we're all just wealthy, like
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it is at this point. And so now finally discovering purpose, and we kind of already touched on this. Now, what scared me about Justin and what made me kind of go into like, were there underlying mental health issues, was this thing like, you're consuming me, Kesha. I want to be, I'm thinking about going to Howard with you, Kesha. I know. I was just gonna be a couple states over here. I could take the train, but you know what? I want to be up under you. I want to be in your skin, Kesha. And if you don't call me one weekend, I'm gonna be laid up in this bed just like this, unkempt, no lip chap, just looking dusty, crying into my pillow at night, thinking about you. Because Justin really did scare me. I said, is he really gonna find his path, or is he gonna be all consumed by Kesha? And finally, we do get to this point where he says, "I see it. I'm obsessed with you, my girl." Because when he said, "I want to go to Howard with you," she said, "Huh? You want to do what now?" Like
Sir.
the way I had it in my mind was, I will go to Howard and you will go to Northwestern, and I would see you on every other weekend, or a couple times a semester. But you would have your experience. That's just how I saw it. So now I'm gonna try to have to approach this and think about it other than the way. I said, Kesha, if you just don't tell this man, so you don't want me to go, Kesha, baby? No, that's not, no. And I think, his awareness finally that you're becoming my whole world. I'm obsessed with you. I need to take this time to figure out what it is that Justin wants and what Justin needs. Really brought this full circle to me. But Dom, talk to me about the mental health of it all and discovering your purpose. It didn't scare you when he said he wanted to go to Howard with Kesha?
Well, no, it didn't scare me. No, that's probably the only part of this show that I anticipated accurately. Because I saw it coming from a mile away. When he skipped school, I mean, when he did the thing with the driver trainer and showed up at her school, I knew it was coming then. I was like, oh, you finna be down bad. And his friend was like, oh, your nose wide open, my boy. Like that, it's not a mental health thing. I'm so glad that I'm so happy that we're in an era of mental health and we can talk about these things openly now. But I'm also so glad that we didn't have this when I was a kid, because this is just what happens. This is just what happens. And my thing is as long as you come out of it, but you coming out of it is the support system that you have. Like you need friends, you need family that cares about you. So you're in an environment where you can process this properly. That's the only thing they needed. People who go the other way with this don't have the environment and the support system to process this properly. That's all that is.
I don't think any therapist on standby. Just on, in my contacts, I need, for a video call or something just on deck, because Justin made me nervous.
Look, The show was already called forever. We was already waiting on the boy to piece two fingers. I was like, is it gonna be at your own admission? Um, Mental health very much. There's, dealing with the woes and the teenager and oh my first love, and then there's this deep, dark depression and proceed with caution and lashing out and I can't even consume myself enough and all I said was, bro, I'm riding shotgun. Like, pipe down. Like, every little inconsistency with Kesha would send him to the depths of hell. I said, baby, this is unhealthy. This is unhealthy. And as, a support team, as everybody and the mom and the dad, him just enclosed and in this, and it wasn't just one time, it was many times.
Mhm.
This was not okay. This was not
Well,
okay.
no, it's not okay. It's not okay. And him lashing out is not okay. What I'm saying is that it is natural. And what I'm saying is that
Uh-huh.
as a teenager you operate in extremes because you're dealing with situations you've never dealt with before, and you're dealing with hormones and emotional states you've never dealt with before. So you swing back and forth between extremes. So you swing between you
No.
are my
There's
everything.
extremes. And then there's the I'm gonna be here for you forever, Kesha. I'm gonna it was too much. The upset no, it's not natural
I think
or just casual for any teenager to be this obsessed with a partner, first time or not. It's okay to have your first love and oh, this is just everything I ever thought it would be. Like I'm infatuated because it's a bunch of firsts. Who isn't? That's typically how those things go. He was unnaturally obsessed with her to where he was ready to uproot. And like the mom said, are you ready to, just dismiss your whole life, your plan, even though it was something else? He was equating Kesha to whatever was saving him. Like, this is my saving grace. They both were, this is my safe space. I'm not having this here. I can confide in Kesha and be my most genuine self where I can only, tell my parents and do so much there because they have this plan for me. I don't want this to be taken away. Well, hell, what all are you going to do to keep it? That's why we had that episode of, girl, I could pull out. What? Calm down. Like, put the nine away, Jamal. He's ready to shoot up the club. Because if that means you get to stay here. And I also thought that was a plot convenience because that's right after the bomb on the sofa with the pint of ice cream. Yeah, you gotta watch them. And they'll try to drag you down, baby girl. Then all of a sudden he tried to pull out of the pool. I was like, all right. Yeah, just that's not healthy. It's not.
Well, no, it's not. I'm not saying it's
Not
healthy.
normal either, though. I don't care.
I'm saying,
Go in there and your
Stigmatize
son or baby girl looks like this.
well,
What you
no,
saying? Actually, had a therapist on speed dial.
yeah, well, but that comes with the environment and the support system. All I'm saying is, and I'm not saying that this specific iteration or this example is typical of teenagers, but I guess what I'm saying is teenagers in general operate in the extremes, and they're gonna move from one extreme to the other, and everything's the end of the world, and everything is oh woe is me, and I guess, but my thing is they dealt with it in a way that I felt like allowed him to.
Keisha did.
Well, no, I mean,
This baby here, he needed some help.
well,
And again, not to stigmatize him with like, oh, he had meant, but there were things to me that were red flags in his behavior. The full shutdown, the obsession, the I'm gonna alter my entire life because I'm just so afraid to lose her. And I think the no contact was the best thing they eventually came up with because it allowed him to recenter.
and whose idea was it?
Yeah,
It
and
was
that's why I said there was growth here because he was acting like Joe and you. It's like, you know what?
That's
I can't see you for a little while, Keisha.
and what I will say,
friends.
what I will say, yes, that this is basically what I'm saying. It is like, and maybe this is just a boy thing, but
Maybe so.
but and that's the only negative I had. Well, that's the negative I had with this situation is because I was so happy that he had a support system, and I was so happy that he had a friend, because that's what's necessary is you need friends to like slap you and shake you out of your trance. And so when his boy was like, yeah, come on, leave her alone. If you can't be without her for a day, you for real can't be without her. in college. Y'all ain't gonna do this on this thing. And then he got him to like go out. I did not like that when they went out, it was to a party that they both were at. I did not like that. I wanted him to be able to have a night and understand that you can not need, y'all don't need to be tied at the hip. But I guess you couldn't do that, have him learn that lesson and still continue with how the show went. But that was the only thing I was like, he needed to learn. Because yeah, when you fall in love for the first time, it's all consuming, and like my man said, it will shape how you handle that, and how you experience that shapes how you view relationships. And so I don't know.
So you saying you was laying out on that mattress like, okay, Dom, it's
with
all
no
right.
chapstick, just crusty
Well,
with
well,
puffers all
Well,
around.
no. What I will say is the first time I had my heart broken, I thought that I would, I was dramatic internally. I was like, oh, I'll never love again. Oh man, women ain't nothing. Oh my God. And it was deep. And then my dad was like, hey. Well, I had a dad who, before I got there, he was like, look, this is gonna happen at some point, and you're gonna feel like this. And I was like, man, you don't know what you're talking about, old man. And then I got my heart broken, and I'm in the midst of all these emotions, and I'm like, dang, that's exactly what that man said. And then I got up and went and ran track. And you know what I'm saying? So it's just like it happens, and you got to go through these emotions. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
So, and we end here. We're better off as friends. I choose me. A full circle moment. Gets the bag she attempted to give him head for, and we go on our separate ways.
That is on there.
We're going to, focus on the music. He's already sold a song, y'all. He's making beats and being successful.
Oh, I didn't like that either.
Yeah, he did that. CJ, shout out to you. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Henry missed his Tuesday shift and you did. But Dom, I'll start with you. We're better off as friends. I choose me. And he sold a song, just to further submit he's in the right, path.
Yeah, he's on the right path, and that was the thing I did not. I remember I didn't like it's kind of connected to the previous thing about him finding his path, but also I didn't like and I guess Kesha is a counterpoint to it, so maybe it's balanced, but I didn't like the chase your dream thing, and it working out, because I'm like it's not going to. And it's just like because sometimes you need to go to college. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we're in an era where it's cool to say college isn't for everybody, and that's very true. College is not for everybody. It's not for a lot of people. It is for you though, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like it does have its benefits, and not you want to make it. I guess I just wanted somebody's parent to be like, go get a job that can pay for your dream. Go get a job that can pay for your bills, and you can focus on your dream. I wish that would. Well, yeah.
You got a CBS job, Dom. That man working.
Yeah, he working at CBS, and I'm just like, I don't know. I didn't like. If it was just I'm working at Rodney and I'm picking up trash and I'm just here to hang out and soaking it up, that would have been great for me. I'm working at CVS for a year to pay for this part, and we're gonna see if it work out in a year. The I sold a song thing was a little too much hope for me. That was just. I was like, go to school. It's okay.
But maybe he is an elite producer, and this will be his path.
He might be. And I struggle with it personally, because I'm like, man, if I didn't go to college and just went into what I wanted to do out of high school, I probably would have been there by now. So I understand. I'm just saying, most of y'all need to go. Most of us need to go to school. You're not Jordan. You're not Dre. You're not. And I'm just like, I just felt like it was a little too much.
And allowed to dream. And I actually enjoyed this part of it, because I feel like not enough times do we get the freedom to just dream, right? Like Keisha's like, I can't do that. I can't dream. Like I can't
Hmm.
focus on anything else because I know this is my only path because I haven't been afforded with this life. But then we have the other side of this where Justin can take a year and he won't be ruined by this year. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, like you said, and yeah, and that's right. And so it probably is balanced. It's probably me projecting. It might be very well me be projecting. I'll take that. I still didn't like it.
Tyra.
I like I said, financially, maybe you can go do that. Go do that. I don't like the whole well, you have to it has to be formulaic and you have to share the same burdens. Like if there's no struggle then there's no progress. You need to go. No. Let that boy do what he want to do. As he said, if it or the parents said, if nothing transpires, it doesn't work here, you can just go back. And if it's not that, maybe he might decide, it's nice to see a black boy be afforded to make decisions. Let him like he can decide what he wants to do. Dumb, if you didn't get that decision, it's all right.
Yeah, man, yeah, I think that's what it was. I didn't get that. I
It's
didn't get to
all
make that
right.
choice.
Like it's nice that he has that choice. So many of us don't get that choice. You don't get that option. You do get that option of you taking your ass to college and you better figure it out. 'Cause I ain't paying for it. Like this is nice that he has that option. You have the standard here. You have Keisha's. That's a whole success story. And then you have this to where, well, I thought it would go this way, but this is, what I'm choosing to do. And
I
I do
think
like that he made the decision to, like, yeah, I need to have my distance and we have to cut this off. I thought that, it would have, because that place he was in that room and whatnot, looking up at the ceiling, I thought Keisha would have to be the one to take the brunt of, we can't, I have to cut this off. But he had to do it and it really showed growth in his character at this point.
no, it did. I just wish maybe I think I wish it was a different dream because no, because it was a little too sticky. Like he it was like I'm playing basketball and then I'm gonna switch from basketball to being a music producer. Like it's basketball or rap music. I'm like, Jesus
They
Christ.
wanted you to know them that that was always in that bench. It's like you made this beat, and for even though them beats was whack, it's
Yeah,
just ass
no,
beats.
yeah, that was horrible beats.
Like you made
Horrible beats.
this beat in the fourth grade, like it was always there. It just was never nurtured.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing that just triggering me is that it felt stereotypical because it was music and basketball was all this boy was doing. If he was like an artist or he wanted to be a sommelier or he wanted to like paint, if it was something atypical of the stereotype, I probably would feel a little bit differently. But because it's like I'm gonna be a gangster rapper,
I didn't
daddy, I was like,
think
all right,
that he was gonna like go to school for music theory or something. I thought we were gonna go that route.
oh
It was gonna
Jesus
be
Christ.
like, I'm going to school, but just for
Yeah.
something different. It was just like, nah, we doing this gap year. I was like, all right, if you can do it, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, they act like every school doesn't have a music program. Like, yeah.
Everyone.
But yeah, but I was pleased. It was a full circle moment. We got the obligatory forehead kiss, and we're already renewed for a season 2. I will
Ugh.
say this: in a world full of Hulu's that cancel everything black, be a Netflix, and let's renew black shows and black projects. I know Dom has his qualms about there being a season 2. However, I'm open and I'm ready for the expression of it all. I want to see what Mara's going to do with another season because I believe that the meat of this story, I mean, of the book, the source material has been covered.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious. This will be all kind of her brainchild going forward. And I like her as a writer. I like Mara as a storyteller. So I'm hopeful. Girlfriends had how many seasons? Like she's been down through there. She's carried series through multiple seasons and done pretty well with them. I already know Dom's thoughts, but I'm going to start with you, Dom, and we will close out with Tyra's thoughts on the renewing because renew black shows. Let's do that.
Yeah, yeah, and see, that's where I'm incredibly torn because I've done several TikToks, I've done several videos about shame on you for not supporting black shows. Watch black shows so they can get renewed. I've talked ad nauseum about that, and I've wagged my finger at my own people for not doing it. And this show got and Netflix don't even when they do renew a show, they take forever. They be like, we're gonna wait 6 months and then maybe a season 2. And so they right out the gate renewed this. So that's a very good sign. And Mara is incredibly talented. Um, and Being Mary Jane was on for like 4 seasons before War Out is Welcome. So I just I have all the faith in her. So I have to weigh my faith in her talent against this season ended. The whole thing of it felt like a limited series when I was watching it, and then it ended like I was watching the end of La La Land. And so I just felt like it was such a proper and appropriate ending that I felt like a season two continue the story could only disappoint me. Um, that's just how I feel, and so I have to weigh that feeling narratively. I don't want to see them any.
But maybe we get a new couple. You know what I
Not
mean?
now if
Maybe
it's
it's
that though.
time.
If it's that, we keep
Uh,
it with high grease. If we,
Not the way them actors was. I went to everybody's page today. They're like, "Yeah, we renewed for a second season." Yeah, my reaction to the announcement that we're renewed. These people are definitely coming back. Um, this was a nice little bow at the ending. I do like the themes of what we will typically see. Not everybody goes on to be high school sweethearts and we're married and we go on and we're together forever. No, sometimes your first love is just your first love and you have intentions and it's, oh, this feels so good. We're going to be together forever. But in actuality, that's not what happens. And that's just how it is. And you part ways. It's probably not this damn mature and this amicable, but that's what happens. So it was kind of perfect in that way. We don't necessarily need a season two. I am concerned with where we're going to take it, even though I don't mind it. There is a sense of all we can do is age them up and, maybe college or maybe even after that and, try to bring them back together in some way, kind of getting more into the real love, Mary J. Bligeism kind of territory, you know. I think it has potential to, kind of go over there. I am interested to know who they'll become, but I'm hoping that it still makes sense narratively with who we met here, and it's not just about getting them back together because it was always you. Like, okay, go away.
Yeah, and then the surface level complaint is that the actress, what's her name, Lovey,
Mhm.
she looks the same age she did in Greenleaf. She looked like she shot this at the same time she shot Greenleaf,
And she's
and
26, 27 now.
right. And so when we shoot the when we get to this second season, whenever it comes, she's gonna be knocking on 30, if not 30. But but if she still look like a teenager,
Mhm.
but she's gonna be doing more grown. You know what I'm saying? Like if we age them up to the point where they're closer to their real life ages, I'm not finna watch because she's. I'm sorry, she still look like Marseille, and I'm just not finna watch her. I can't let then I'm gonna be on your side, Ashley. I'm like I don't need the sex scenes to be more gratuitous. Like I don't need us doing grown stuff, and not with the baby, not with the baby.
And that's the hard thing about child actors and us watching people grow up on TV. Now I don't know how Tyler skipped that because he'd be over there on Abbott, and I'd be like, "You a whole snack," maybe because we were the age that he was at the time that we
Yeah, we
were
grew up with them.
together, versus a Marseille who was a baby, honey. I don't know if I could but that's the risk you run being a child actor, and a lot of them have to come out the box or feel like they have to come out the box super strong, in order to change that narrative, and we all know that can lead to disaster. Lisa Bonet, but. Yeah, y'all, that was it. That was Forever on Netflix. I hope you enjoyed this live. This was a 2 hour and 35-minute live. Y'all, I've never hosted a live this long. We be I 10 by 10 and out of there. But apparently there was a lot to talk about. Any final thoughts on Forever before I give you guys the floor to let the people know what's going on in your world?
Thought you did something with the blue slides. 2 hours and 35.
Girl, I was like, oh, this is just gonna get us to the
I was
hour.
just like, yeah, we're not hitting every episode. I'm gonna do these little slides and yeah, hour and a half tops. We said nope.
Nope.
All right, Dom, let the people know what you've got going on, sir.
Oh man, it's Screen Static Studios all day, every day. We talking about I'm gonna be covering the Andor Star Wars series just ended, so I'm gonna be covering that. I'm gonna be covering a bunch of other stuff. I just started watching The Bear. So I'm gonna be doing some late, I guess, reviews of The Bear, but I got some hot takes about The Bear. So that's gonna be coming up. So yeah, just come on. We're gonna be talking a lot of stuff. So come on over.
Y'all, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have that notification bell on so you don't miss a thing. The Bear is an experience, especially those first 2 seasons. I adored them. Last season, I don't know what the hell is going on. Tyra, let the people know what you have going on over there at Struggle Reviews TV. 30,000 subscriber channel now.
Hey.
I had to get that out.
Show did. Not too long. In a few hours, we will be reacting to the final episode of Raising Kanan. So be there for that. Also, tomorrow we have several things coming up. I think we got Fine Men coming up. We'll be discussing a new show by the name of Duster that I need to check out. And then, of course, on Saturdays, we officially talk about Raising Kanan. So, and then Sunday, we'll probably do a hot topic situation. The calendar is full. The week is full. Have your notifications on so you can be there to support us, please.
Absolutely, you guys. And do me a favor, go ahead. If you're watching Handmaid's Tale, go run up the last video, the one I dropped yesterday. It's a good video, y'all, and it's getting some movements. There's some movement back there. So please go support that. But thank y'all so much for the support. Thanks for the super chats. We see you. We appreciate you. And we will be back later tonight. What is it, air at midnight Eastern Standard Time? And we will be watching this episode of Raising Kanan and
Enthusiasm, baby.
reacting to it. But thank y'all so much for being here. And we are going to leave you with this. Have the most amazing rest of your night. We'll see you
I
in a
used to
few
think
hours.
about how you been act when it got money. Now you done switched up on me. Now you gon' say what's up to me. Oh, so now you wanna make love to me. Girl, if you don't get from me, I know you thought we had something special, but you don't mean nothing to me. Girl, I'm sorry you not the one for me. Just be